the Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fail? Chairman of the Free Company, speaking from New York. Today, the Free Company presents Orson Welles in his own play, His Honor the Mayor. The Free Company is a group of writers, actors, and radio workers who come together voluntarily to present a series of plays about our basic liberties. We're unpaid, unsponsored, and uncontrolled. Just a group of Americans saying what we believe about this country and about freedom, trying to say it by means of plays, just as the Bible parables or the anecdotes that Lincoln used to tell illustrate other truths by means of stories. Some of our plays deal with the whole subject of freedom, others with the different basic civil rights on which that freedom rests. Today, the theme is an ancient and fundamental democratic right, which will become clear to you as you listen to the play. This week's author is Orson Welles, and the cast is recruited from his own Mercury Theater. Most appear prominently in Mr. Welles' forthcoming motion picture, Citizen Kane, and are now to be seen on Broadway in the Mercury's new success, Native Son. We present His Honor the Mayor.
This story happened in a small town near the Mexican border. We'll call it Benton, because I never heard of any town by that name. Our hero, who's the mayor of the town, we'll call Nags. Bill Nags, because I don't know anybody called Bill Nags. Right here, I want to say that this broadcast isn't intended to be uplifting or inspirational. It hasn't any moral at the end of it or any message. You can draw your own conclusions, and I hope you do. I'd like to know what you think of Mayor Nags' problem, and if you think he solved it the right way. Maybe you'll say he didn't solve it at all. That's possible. Believe me, I'm not campaigning for Nags' re-election. He's a friend of mine, but I don't want to get mixed up in municipal politics, particularly in a town that's almost 2,000 miles away from my own. I'm just going to tell you what happened.
Bill, time to get up. I'm not going to tell you again.
Let me sleep another half hour.
No, sir.
Just one little half hour more.
I know why you don't want to get up today. Hear me, Bill? It's always the same. When you're in trouble and don't want to face it, you try to stay in bed.
If I had troubles, I'd stay awake. When I finally do drop off, I'd like to take advantage of it. I don't know why you always assume that my motives are mean and petty and niggling.
What does niggling mean?
Picayune.
What does that mean?
Niggling. Niggling, picayune. Picayune, niggling. Don't sound like English.
Are you awake now?
The Nags are a good couple, and although neither of them believes it, each has a better opinion of the other than is usual in marriages as old as theirs. They have better reasons than most, maybe. Anyway, they think they have, which is the best reason of all. Mrs. Nags looks a little older than she ought to because her life hasn't been easy. But she wears the smartest clothes she can afford, which isn't true of most of the other ladies in town, and doesn't especially enhance her popularity. Her husband, the mayor, looks younger than his years and his job, not because he doesn't work as hard as anybody in the state. His features just never grew up with the rest of him, and he stands very straight.
Morning, I want flapjacks. Hey, Mary?
Yes, Bill?
I don't care how fat I get. Today I want flapjacks and maple syrup.
Today you shall have them.
Thanks.
Take my word for it, when responsibilities get to be almost unendurable, a man on a diet takes to his sugars and starches as an addict retreats to his opium pipe or a drunkard to his bottle. On this particular day, Mayor Naggs ate 3 helpings of Mrs. Naggs' flapjacks, 2 nut bars before a lunch, which included potatoes, among other forbidden fruits like bread and butter and custard pie. I won't reveal the full catalog of what His Honor consumed during the course of that day, but by the time he got to bed, claiming to Mrs. Naggs that he'd lost 10 years of his life, she says he'd gained at least 5 pounds.
Morning, Bill.
Hello, Jerry.
What'll it be?
Fill her up.
Okay, Bill. What are you aiming to do about the meeting tonight, Bill? The White Crusaders rally.
Don't know yet.
Hadn't you ought to make up your mind, Bill?
Reckon so. What you think about it, Jerry?
Well, there's conditions in this town's got to be changed. You know that, Bill.
Reckon so. Which condition?
These here Reds.
You mean communists?
Yeah.
We only got one communist in town, Jerry. Joe Enochen. He can't hurt anybody. He's 87 years old. Besides, there's nothing illegal about being a communist.
That's what you say, Bill.
That's what I say. There's no law in this country against having an opinion.
What about them labor organizers that come into town? They're Reds, ain't they?
I don't think so. They're just trying to get the hands over at the factory to form a union.
Yeah. Unions.
Well, the hands get paid more for their work, they're going to spend more. Maybe buy some new tires for their cars from you. Maybe buy some new cars. Would you object to that?
Unions is what's wrecking this country.
Check my oil.
Holding up the fence.
Heap of money in them big defense orders. Don't you guess part of it belongs to labor?
Your oil's all right.
What you mad at, Jerry? Bet you don't know. Hey, Jerry.
Yeah?
You going to that meeting tonight?
Sure am.
I'll see you there.
On his way to work, Mayor Naggs always looks in at the Carter's after he's been to Jerry's garage. It's right next to the city hall. Carter's Drugs and Stationery.
Morning, Mrs. Carter.
Morning, Mr. Naggs. Here's your papers. Can't see how you ever get around to reading all them papers, Mr. Naggs.
I get them from my conscience.
Your conscience?
Just take them all up and put them on my desk so as I can look at the words on the mastheads during the course of the day. All them big words like Dallas and Houston and Denver and Chicago, Seattle and New York. Makes me think I keep up with the world. Of course I don't.
Mr. Naggs. What you going to do about that Crusaders rally?
Mrs. Carter, what should I do?
You oughtn't to let them hold it. It's going to make trouble. Them white Crusaders hanged a Mexican in Effigy last week.
Yeah, with a sign on him that said I tried to vote.
No telling what they'll do after this meeting. They may get after some real live Mexicans. You can't tell, Mr. Naggs. You know what the boys is like when they get excited.
Yes, I know.
Of course, everybody agrees we mustn't let them Mexicans get the vote, but still...
Why not?
Why not what?
Why shouldn't the Mexicans vote, same as we do?
Oh, Mr. Naggs, you know just as well as I do.
I'd like to hear your reasons.
Well, there's so many of them. Why, if we let the Mexicans vote, they'd run the whole town.
Mrs. Carter, didn't folks ever tell you about all that federal money that I throw away on the Mexicans for their schools and whatnot? Naturally, I want the poll tax abolished so they'll vote for me.
Mr. Naggs, you're joking.
Haven't you heard that if the Mexicans could afford to vote, they'd make me a dictator?
You'd be a wonderful president. I'd like to see you in the White House, Mr. Naggs. I really would. But not if we got to get rid of the poll tax to do it.
Of course, I'm biased, Mrs. Carter. But haven't you ever heard this is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people?
Sure thing, Mr. Naggs. American people. Well, them Mexicans don't even speak English.
But we don't give them much reason to learn it. Got to go to work.
What's that for, Mr. Naggs?
Give me a candy bar. Nuts in it.
Pearl Hylas is passionately in love with Mayor Naggs. She is his secretary.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Colonel Eggenhorn.
Mr. Mayor.
Well?
Just for a moment, may I have your private ear?
Come on into the office.
Your Honor.
Yeah?
Lou Rudnick over at the Sentinel's been trying to get you. He says it can't wait.
Put him on.
Yes, Your Honor. It's about the White Crusaders. He wants to know if you're going to let that meeting go on tonight. He wants a statement for the paper.
Get him on the phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
And don't call me Your Honor.
I'll get right to the point.
Well, thanks.
The White Crusaders, Mr. Mayor. You may not realize it, but I have considerable interest in that organization.
I know all about you, Colonel Eggenhorn.
Do you, indeed?
Yes, I do indeed.
What do you know about me, Nag?
Well, I don't know how old you are or where you were born. You made $1 million on patent medicines before you moved into the county and built that big ranch. I know that. And from there on, I really know about you. You're supposed to be retired, and you keep pretty busy, Colonel. You bought up the old Dayton print shop, for instance. You turned out a lot of stuff from there. I bet you write most of it.
I write it all, Mr. Mayor. Do you mind?
Yes, I mind. I don't like that literature of yours going out all over the country with my town's postmark on it.
Your town?
I'm a citizen. Benton's my town. I work hard for it. I don't like it to be a return address for all that anti-Semitic garbage.
That's a loose term, Mr. Mayor.
What's a loose term? Garbage? Yeah, I agree with you.
No, anti-Semitic. The International Jew.
Mr. Rudnick on the phone, Your Honor.
Lou? Yeah? Yes, Lou. I know what it means. Fascism was just one word for it, a loose term. No, nothing. Lou, you can print it in your paper that I can't stop it. I said I can't stop it. I know about refusing, revoking licenses. Just say I can't stop the meeting. Lou.
Hung up on you, didn't he? Hung right up.
Yeah.
Glad to see you're taking that stand, Mr. Mayor. I don't forget any favor.
Don't thank me.
I'll do more than thank you. By the way, here's a copy of The White Crusader, a little monthly publication of ours. Read it, Mr. Mayor. Keep an open mind. I think you're big enough to admit your mistakes. As for the crusade itself, our ranks are always open to men of your mettle.
And color?
Naturally.
How about my religion?
You're a Christian?
Maybe you forgot, Colonel. I'm a Catholic.
I had forgotten. Well, Mr. Naggs, we always manage to make exceptions.
Well, that's very nice of you, Colonel. But as far as I'm concerned, you...
For broadcasting purposes, I have to censor the rest of Mr. Naggs' remarks. Enough to say that these remarks were unanswerable and that Colonel Eggenhorn left the mayor's office very red in the face and in quite a hurry. The mayor spent the rest of the morning receiving committees and talking on the telephone. The subject was always the White Crusaders rally. The first committee came from Benton College and was headed by Naggs' old friend Noble Cornflower, the president. Second was semi-officially from the Chamber of Commerce, and the third was sent by the American Legion. Everybody telephoned. Nobody wanted the Crusaders to hold their meeting.
Yes, Dr. Evers, I know what they stand for. I know. Well, we'll see. I said we'll see. Thanks for calling.
Mrs. Dewey on the other line, Your Honor.
I talked to her before.
She's calling again.
I talked to everybody in town. Do I have to talk to them all twice?
What's funny, Your Honor?
I was thinking that can't be a very big meeting tonight. Everybody's objected to it. There ain't nobody left to attend.
Your Honor.
I know, Mrs. Dewey, and don't call me Your Honor. Tell her I'm out to lunch, and that's where I am, darn it. Out to lunch.
Father Hatton and Mayor Naggs went to school together when they were kids. Now Father Hatton hears Mayor Naggs at confession. Every so often, they meet for lunch all the time. There was some coolness between them during the mayor's gambling reform a couple of months back when a fanatic, or at least tactless, member of the police under orders to clean up every game in town embarrassed one of the church's bingo socials. Nothing serious, though. Never any real difference of opinion.
Bill, I don't agree with you.
No coffee, Father.
Thanks.
I wish you did.
It isn't just that these white crusaders oppose the church. They're lined up against everything anybody could possibly mean by Christianity.
I know.
Worse than that, they've recruited every convenient branch of intolerance. They're anti-labor, anti-Semitic.
Anti-everything but themselves. Yeah, there's a dozen more little clubs here and there like the White Crusaders. All those nuts are the same.
Those nuts. Bill, that's what they said in Germany. About the Nazis a while ago when Adolf Hitler was still on a soapbox. Those nuts. Nobody thought those nuts could do any harm.
Germany was a young democracy. Don't forget it. Her republic was only a few years old. It lacked experience. We're the oldest democracy on the planet. We know our way around. Gosh, got too much faith in America to think Colonel Eggenhorn or any reasonable facsimile could march in and start giving us orders. Look at the way our folks are rising up against this white crusade business right here in town.
Listen, Bill.
Folks just won't stand for it.
They won't if they can help it. People are decent and good at heart. They won't listen to lies unless you make them.
I'm not making them. Excuse me for shouting. Losing respect for thought, Father.
Forget my clothes.
Well, darn it all, I'm not making anybody listen to lies. I'm just upholding the Bill of Rights.
Why do you think they're having this meeting?
What?
You heard me.
Yes, I heard you.
Let me tell you what you know. Benton has a factory that makes auto parts and ships them up north. Who owns the factory? Nobody in Benton. Who works in it?
Everybody in Benton that'll take the wages.
That's the whole point. Now, I don't care about unions, Bill. They're not my concern. But last week, a couple of organizers were beaten up in my parish. One of them takes communion in my church. I don't want that to happen again. And it's going to happen just as long as the White Crusaders get their way. I warned you I was going to tell you what you know. Well, here's something maybe you don't know. I've heard that some of my parishioners and a whole lot of our citizens are planning to visit that little meeting tonight.
What?
That is, if you allow it to be held.
What?
Don't keep saying what. You hear me perfectly well.
How do you know?
Sometimes a priest knows more about the world than you might think.
Yeah, sometimes he knows more about a town than the mayor himself.
Well?
Well?
I don't want you to have to call out deputies, Bill, or ask the governor for help. What I'd really hate would be for you to have to stop the right people from doing the wrong thing. Do you understand me?
I understand you. Waiter?
Yes, Mr. Met.
Get me another piece of pie.
Mayor Naggs is just about as stubborn as they come. You may have guessed that Father Hatton didn't convince him, but he worried him sorely because Mayor Naggs could see that everything the priest told him was true.
Sure it's true. So's the Bill of Rights.
What's that, Your Honor?
The Bill of Rights.
I didn't understand you.
You know what the Bill of Rights is, Pearl. Answer the telephone.
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Go to the public library and look it up.
All righty. Shall I make a transcript and bring it back to you?
Memorize it. Learn it by heart. Then go to the corner of Main Street and Central and recite it.
That's a scream.
Go on. Go out and find me 10 citizens like you that never heard of the Bill of Rights. Bring them back here, and I'll recite it.
You mean I get the afternoon off?
If you get out of here quick enough.
Gee, thanks. You better answer the telephone.
Hello, and don't call me your aunt. No, not you, Mrs. Dewey. Just a second, please. Hello? Just a minute. Just a minute.
3 more calls came in from Mrs. Dewey before the afternoon was over. But now most of the calls weren't complaints. Most of them were threats. Some political, some social, a lot of them the kind of threats Father Hatton was afraid of. These were all anonymous. By supper time, Bill Naggs had listened to enough of them to know that things were serious. For the sake of the record, I must tell you that Pearl went to the public library after treating herself to a malted at Carter's and looked up the Bill of Rights. She didn't learn it, of course, but she read it all through, including the place where it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance.
Hey! Go eat on it.
What do you want?
What's your advice?
You won't take it.
Maybe I will. You never agree with anybody, Joe, and this time I don't either. What about the White Crusaders?
Don't let them congregate. Goodbye.
Hey! Joe Enochen!
What is it now?
You know, I thought you were the one man in town might agree with me.
Well, I don't agree with you.
Joe, I can't start interfering with the people's right to assemble.
They ain't people, they're fascists. Everybody else wants you to interfere, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Well, there's the people for you. Everybody else. Ever hear of the will of the people?
Ever hear of the Bill of Rights?
Now, where'd the Bill of Rights come from? The will of the people. Where'd the Constitution come from? It didn't come down from Mount Sinai, Bub. God didn't write it. Listen, this country with its institutions belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it or their revolutionary right to dismember or overthrow it.
Naturally, you would advocate overthrowing the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, Joe. You're the town communist.
I didn't say that. Abe Lincoln said it. And I don't advocate overthrowing it any more than he did. I just believe in the will of the people. So did he. So should you. Don't set yourself up against the will of the people, Nags. You're their servant. They pay you to serve. Besides, I ain't a communist. I'm an anarchist.
Sit right down, Bill. Don't wash up unless you want to. There's creamed chicken and baked potatoes and hot bread.
Mary, have you seen today's Sentinel?
And chocolate cake for dessert.
Says I'm going to lose my job.
And I sent out for some ice cream.
If I don't stop that meeting, I guess I will.
What do you want me to say, Bill?
If I don't keep my job, I'll never grow up to be Abraham Lincoln like you want me to be.
What do you want me to say?
I want you to tell me what to do.
You never asked me that before.
Well?
You'll never grow up to be Abraham Lincoln like I want you to be if you do something just to keep your job.
I'm never going to be Abraham Lincoln, honey. But I promise you it won't be because of that.
The White Crusaders' rally was scheduled for 9 o'clock at Nicky's dance hall. Mary and Bill Nags arrived at 8:30.
Mr. Nags, the sheriff's been trying to get you. You didn't answer your phone.
I know I didn't. What's he want, Sam?
He wants to swear in some deputies.
Tell him to sit tight.
Where are you going?
To the meeting.
In there?
My own meeting. Right now, I'm going to greet my friends.
Oh, the Crusaders?
No, the ones that ain't. Ones that aren't, I should say. Sam, you stay with the car here and watch out for Mrs. Nags.
As I told you, this story hasn't any moral or any message of mine tied to it. It's about morals and messages, though, and I was serious when I said I hoped you'd draw your own conclusions. I don't insist that Mayor Nags did the right thing. I do believe the subject is worth conversation, and I'd like to hear your opinion of how he solved his problem. Also, I admitted earlier that he mightn't have solved it at all. By 9 o'clock, the White Crusaders had gathered. A lot of the members may have been too scared to come because there wasn't much of a crowd inside the hall. The crowd was outside.
Get away from that door, Nags! If you don't break up that meeting, Nags, we will! Let us let them turn it.
Half the town was there at least. Central Street, which runs past the dance hall, was jammed so you couldn't move.
Go on, Nags, get away!
Why?
Where you going in?
You belong to the White Crusaders, Charlie? There's nothing to see in there. Just a couple of dozen anonymous citizens in fancy dress. There's nothing to hear. You know what they're talking about?
We know!
So do I. They're talking about scaring the Mexicans to keep them from voting for me. Talking about keeping unions out of the factory so the town don't get any more of that money from up north. Well, maybe that's all right. But here's something that ain't. They're talking about hating the Jews. We only got one Jewish family in the county. The Mankowitzes. Anybody hate the Mankowitzes? Anybody want to join the White Crusaders? No. We got a better club out here. Not so exclusive, but more fun. We're the Loyal Order of Fellow Men. We're supposed to love each other, you remember? The rules out here are easier to follow, and we didn't make them.
Oh, shut up, Bill!
What's that? You back there. Can't see you. What's your name? You got the floor. No further remarks? All right. The chair will resume.
Why don't you break up that meeting?
Because I'm holding one of my own. Friends, you all know perfectly well I'm demagoguing you. Sure. I'm demagoguing you, same as Colonel Agenhorn in there's demagoguing the Crusaders. Only I ain't fomenting and inciting a riot. Just the reverse. I ain't kidding you. You know I'm just filibustering until that gang breaks up. I don't like what's going on in there any more than you do. Believe me, I like it less than most of you. You say this is a free country and you got a right to stop a meeting if you want to. I say it's a free country and anybody can hold a meeting. You say, who's the mayor to stand up against the whole town? Or I say, who's the town to stand up against the mayor it elected? As long as I'm in office, the laws are going to be obeyed. That's what I'm paid for. If you don't like me, elect somebody else. If you don't like the laws, change them. But don't start forbidding anybody the right to assemble. Democracy's a rare, precious thing. And once you start that, you finish democracy. Democracy guarantees freedom of assembly unconditionally to the worst lice that want it. If they don't get it, they'll go underground so as we can't see them. Let them thumb their noses at the stars and stripes. Just as long as they don't touch it. Let them jeer at everything we're willing to die for. That's anybody's right, the right to jeer. The right to be what's called nowadays un-American. Like this White Crusaders rally, that's un-American, all right? But listen, if we break up that meeting, we're un-American. For keeps. A lot of you work in the factory and you want a union. How would you like it if I didn't let you hold a strike meeting? All of you have read the history books. You know what the right to assemble and worship God meant to most of those folks that first came here, the ones that couldn't pray the way they wanted to in the old country. Are you convinced? Maybe so, maybe no. Anyway, you're not going to break the law, are you? All right. Neither's the White Crusaders. Let them raise a hand against a living soul, and by glory, I promise you, the law's got them. Hello, Colonel Aikenhorn. Well, folks, the rally's over. You and your dirty shirts going home, Colonel?
I demand a police escort.
I don't guess you'll need it, Colonel.
Well, I think I do.
Well, I'm going to take a chance on it. Good night, Colonel. Folks, the Colonel and his boys are asking for trouble. Let's not give it to them.
The crowd gave way and let the Crusaders go home. They went meekly. There wasn't an illegal move.
Thanks, everybody. And if you don't like what I've done, please wait till Election Day. Meeting's adjourned.
Then the crowd broke up. Mayor Nags went back to where his wife was waiting for him in the car. They drove home together.
Like his honor the mayor, then, let us stand fast by the right of lawful assembly. Let us say with that...
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company. What avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fail?
This is James Boyd speaking for the Free Company. Last Sunday it was announced in error that today Paul Muni would be heard in a drama by Maxwell Anderson. Mr. Muni will be heard in Maxwell Anderson's The Miracle of the Danube on April 27th. This afternoon we're going to hear A Start in Life, an original radio play by Paul Green, author of In Abraham's Bosom, a Pulitzer Prize play, as well as Johnny Johnson, and the current Broadway success, Native Son. Canada Lee, star of Native Son, plays our lead today. The Free Company is a group of writers, actors, and radio workers who have come together voluntarily to give expression to their faith in American democracy. Some of their plays have been about freedom in general, some about one or another of the 8 basic freedoms assured to all citizens in the Bill of Rights. Mr. Green shows us a scene where no legal right of a certain old colored man is violated, but where an attitude toward him and toward his race works against him and against his loyal, hopeful son just as much as though his rights had been destroyed under the law. The Free Company presents A Start in Life. Our play today is in and around a great American university in the southern part of the United States. The college sits aloft on a hill. Its observatory, library, science buildings, museum, dormitories, and church spires shining in the first rays of the morning sun. This, like 100 others, is our temple of learning, the interpreter and guardian of democratic truth. A mile away, in a little field below the hill, is a Negro cabin. A cabin like thousands of other Negro cabins and dwelling shacks throughout the land.
Ain't called him yet, Pappy.
No, the day near about broke already. And ain't it cold out there? Whew, that ground's froze like a bull's horn.
Feed the mules?
I has. Hey, Bobo, get out in that bed.
Watch that fat back fine, honey. I'll go get him up. Better get up in there, boy, if you was going with your pappy. Oh, get up, get up. Breakfast is all done fixed and got you some hot coffee, too.
Let me alone.
Yeah. What about all your proud bragging about how soon you was going to be up this morning? Get out of that bed, boy.
Is it time to get up, Mammy?
Sure is. And if you was going to haul wood for that fest up at the big college, you better rise and shine. Come on now. Come on, bring your shoes into the kitchen.
Well, I done fixed everything on the table for you, honey. Oh, you sure look pretty this morning.
Oh, Pappy, ain't you ashamed?
I reckon I can give you a big hug, too, on a morning like this. Yeah, what's the matter, gal?
Just thinking about that wagon wheel.
That right back wheel?
It's all dished out and crooked, and it rattles so.
That old wheel gonna hold up. Ain't it held up so far?
If you could just get you a good new wheel.
Honey, I'm gonna. When the professor paid me for hauling the wood, that's what I'm gonna do.
Look out how you drive 'em, honey. Don't load 'em up too heavy.
You know me, gal. I'm careful.
This is the best job we ever has had. Don't lose it.
Hush up, here come Bobo. No use to fret him. Come on, son, eat.
Ooh, fat back and coffee.
Wash that face first.
These here taters and backbone coming mighty good for your dinner.
Yeah, and don't forget them collards. Collards give a man muscle power to handle them big pieces of wood. Sit down, boy. Lord, make us thankful for what we're about to receive and be with us in time to come. Amen.
Now, Bobo, this is your big start in life. Today you begins. You start hauling for the white folks with your daddy.
And I was going to save my money. Ain't I, Pappy?
Sure. We're all going to save our money. Ain't I got a new wagon wheel to pay for? And there's that Mary mule. Ain't paid out on her yet.
Well, I'm going to help you pay for him, Pappy.
Sure, we're all going to help, honey. And you and me, we'll be out every morning hauling away. Wood for the fessers, carrying off their trash. And with our 2 mules and maybe someday a brand new spanking wagon. Yes, sir. We're making a new start now. Come on, let's hurry and finish here and hitch up them mules. No, you can't whistle, boy.
I learned it mighty fast.
I mean, it's too cold for you to whistle. Getting light enough to see the frost everywhere. Boy, there is a frost. How's your feet?
Oh, they all right. Look at that big star over there.
Yeah, that's in the east. The morning star. That old red sun soon be coming up there.
Look how big is that star that sets across the river at sundown.
That's the same star. The morning star and the evening star is the same star, the good book say.
How come that? One of them's on the right hand and one of them's over there on the left hand. How come they be on the same two sides of you?
Well, that's 'cause it goes around under the earth and rises again. God's power.
Does God make all that happen?
He sure do. He's smart and all-powerful. Knows everything. Does everything.
White folks powerful, too. They knows heaps.
Yeah, but they ain't God.
But they's next to God, ain't they?
Well, now, maybe you might say that. Mostly they act like it.
I bet old Professor's near about next to God.
Huh?
You know, Professor Johnson, the man we're going to haul the wood for. Mammy said he about the biggest man at the university.
He's a smart man, all right, and he's going to pay us good for this hauling.
Gosh, I feel like a grown-up man today.
You do, huh? Yeah, I'll break you off a chew of tobacco.
Oh, thanks, Pappy. Yeah, it's kind of funny, oh. You know who the smartest man in the world is, Pappy?
God, I done told you.
Maybe.
Sure.
But you next to him.
Oh, well, dog my cat.
And you is, too. You about the biggest man in them all, Pappy.
Yeah, I'll give you one more chew of tobacco and you'll bag me clean out in my breeches. And all here at the first commencement. See, can you drive? You're starting up that long hill into town now. I don't reckon these mules will run away with you. They sure mighty smart-spirited, though.
Here, let me take that whip. Get on there, mule. Get up there. Got a big day's work. Get light down so we can see everything.
Yeah. And look up there at the white folks' town. See the church spires. Old sun touching them off with his fire.
Ain't that a high one? I mean, that one's sticking way up.
That's them shouting white folks Methodists. They built that. Pointing their finger way up in the face of God. Morning, Sister Lucy.
Morning, Brother Jody.
Morning, ma'am.
How is you, Lucy?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're all up early.
Sure, anybody cooks for the white folks got to be up early. Don't you see you got there, Brother Jody? No pot of corn wouldn't help none.
I guess not. Wish I had more. See you later.
Yes, sir. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye, Miss Lucy. Gee, Miss Lucy looks mighty cold, all bundled up.
Sure, she's cold. That's why she walks so fast.
The white folks sleep late, don't they?
Sure, but the good book say be up and doing. That's how to get ahead. We's up and doing, ain't we?
We sure is.
He that rises with the sun, the man that gets the most work done. But the white folks twist and turn in their beds heavy with their deep thinking.
Gee, everything sure looks funny. All them buildings all shut up and so early in the morning. And look, that bank building over there. I bet they just got a bushel of dollars in there.
So they have. Yellow dollars and white dollars and great big piles of greenbacks. That's where you and me gonna put our money. Yes, sir, when we get it saved up.
How much you reckon we're gonna make, Pappy?
We'll make something every day. And you get your 10 cents. Every day you get it.
And then, look at that hardware window. Them fishing hooks and poles. I get me one of them, ain't I?
Sure.
And then I go up to the creek and catch Mammy a mess of yellow bellies anytime I want them. Can I?
You sure can do that, too.
And then someday, who knows? Someday maybe I'll get me a bicycle.
Lord help my life. Done spent that money long before he earned it. Want all cream and no milk.
Just an old bicycle. Second-hand, maybe. And then I could come uptown and get things when you and Mammy wanted them.
You were peddling your guts out trying to get up that long hill. You wait till you make some money before you spend it. Now, remember, boy, Him that buys what he don't need is going to need what he can't buy. That's an old saying my daddy taught me. You know, them old sayings come in handy. That's how come I got along the way I have, with a team and a wagon of my own. Now, remember that.
Yes, sir.
Well, here we is. Whoa!
Oh.
Well, now let's begin.
Ooh, look at all that wood.
Ain't it true? Mergings of it. Professor had them CC boys down here cleaning up and piling away. Gonna have him a big hillside garden down here. And see right over there, between them sweet gums? Well, that's where the swimming pool's gonna be for the children. Splashing and ducking about in the hot dog days.
That sure be nice. And look at that house up there shining. It looks just like a mansion.
That is a mansion. Got 10 rooms in it.
Sure is a rich man.
Yeah, Professor Johnson, he make the money. Well, now, let's get busy so we can make some, too. Here goes.
See, Pappy? See up there?
Huh?
Them bicycles on the porch. Them's brand new.
Yeah, they children's. Now, turn your eyes on this here wood and let's load. That's it. That's it. Now, right over here. That's right. Give me that other.
That old blind Mary mule sure loved them dead leaves.
She ain't never had enough of nothing. I give her 3 big ears of corn and a whole 2 hands of fodder this morning. Can't fill her up. Oh, there! Dang old hide. Have to tie her. Reckon that'll keep her.
Boy, that's some house. How did that professor make so much money? Well, how do he?
Well, he teaches in the college. But that's the leastest of it. He writes books. Big books, they tell.
Yeah, what does he write about?
He writes about us Negroes. Now, go on away.
What do you write about Negroes for? Ain't nothing to tell about them, is there?
Don't know. Say he makes plenty money selling them books.
Do the color folks buy them?
Now, how can us poor colored folks buy any books? Hush your mouth. Whoa! Ho, I tell you! Ho!
She wants some more of them leaves.
Well, she ain't gonna get them.
Is that the professor over there on the porch?
Hey, what are you boys doing down there?
Take off your cap, son. We thought we'd get up and get an early start, sir.
Well, you have. You're waking up the whole neighborhood.
Well, we'll be right quiet, sir. Yes, sir, right quiet and easy.
I hope so. Now put the wood around in the cellar, and I'll be out later.
He's kind of sore about something.
Well, that's just his way. Come on, we got a load now. Let's untie old Mary. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand back now. We're going to drive out of here. Get up! You Suki, get up from there. Pull your part.
Look out! That hamstring's broke. Look out!
I tell you. Ain't that'll come off. Now, that hamstring was cut from Ben Cate's bull hide. Said it could hold an elephant. That's all right, Joe. I'll fix it in a minute.
There's the professor man, Pappy. He's coming this way.
What's the trouble?
Nothing for nothing. I was just getting ready to ride out.
What the devil are you beating your mules for?
Well, old Suki's kind of lazy sometimes, but we'll be right along, Professor.
For the last time, I tell you, don't make so much noise. Mrs. Johnson's not gotten up.
Yes, sir. Now we go out of here. Get up! Get up! We'll drive this up to the house.
Watch out, Pappy, watch out. He's going to hit a tree.
Watch out, mule! That dod-rotten hussy, sprat-legged fool, the stump-sucking ditchwater animal. Now pull your jaw. Come here. Gee! You better push. I'll push, too.
Gee, maybe we ought not put such a big load in next time.
That's all right. Everything fine now. We'll take this load round to the back door. Get up. Whoa! Whoa! Well, here we is.
Look, old Mary's biting them scrubs.
Dang old hook. Hold the head, son. I'll throw the wood out. Then we'll take it inside the cellar. Give me that.
Well, I see you got one load around here.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
And see that your mules don't eat Mrs. Johnson's spirea bushes. These here.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
I hope they haven't been eating them already.
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, all right. Is that your boy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, he seems smart. What's your name, son?
They call me Bobo.
Bobo, eh? How old are you?
About 9 or 10.
Yes, sir. That's right. He'll be 10 the next coming 5th of July.
Huh? Does he go to school?
Well, no, sir. He ain't,
Well, you ought to have that boy in school. Now, how do you ever expect him to grow up to be anything?
His mammy teaches him some at night. He can read a little.
Well, you still ought to have that boy in school. Now, how do you expect it? What have you got in your mouth, boy? Don't tell me you're chewing tobacco.
Yes, sir. He takes a little mite now and then to curtain him up.
And barefooted. Now, what's the matter with you, letting the boy go around like that?
Oh, he don't mind the cold much. You see, the sun done come up and everything's getting warm. He don't mind the cold.
Heavens above, barefooted in this weather.
So I got shoes, Mr. White folks.
That's right. Some of Judge Markham's wife gave them to him.
Well, then he ought to wear them.
But they's too small for him, being they's white woman's shoes, see? But his feet's like wet leather. He don't mind the cold.
Right. What have you got there? You realize one of your wheels there's about to cave in?
Well, we going to drive some wedges over that tire. They need a bit might shrink.
They sure do. That's no outfit to come hauling wood with. Oh, well, do the best you can.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson, breakfast is ready. Breakfast is ready.
I'll be right in, Martha. Oh, all right, now, but be as quiet as you can, please.
What's the matter, Bobo? Bet you swallowed that backer down, didn't you?
I couldn't help it. That man, he scared me.
No, he won't hurt you. He's a good man.
How many children you got?
Well, they got about 4. All little girls, they say. Yeah, all of them little girls.
All them little girls and their bicycle. I see all their wheels on the porch over there. See them red wheels?
Yeah, that's right. Nothing but girls. I've been knowing Fessel for a long time. Fact is, I helped dig the foundation for this house. From 7 in the morning till 6 at night. 7 to 6. Swinging that old pick in the pipe clay.
But that was before you got your mules and wagons, wasn't it, Pappy?
Sure. I was like all the other Negroes down in the ditch. Digging.
But Pappy didn't stay there. He come out of that ditch.
That's right. All the time I was going to save my money and get in business for myself.
And now we in.
And everything's smooth sailing. Come on, we get another load. We ain't got much of a load on this time. Sure, it'll stand. Get up, Mary. You Sookie? What in the name of time ails that mule?
Here's that man again.
What in the name of mercy is the trouble this time?
One of the wheels got a little cantankerous, but we done fixed it.
Well, it doesn't look like it. Still, it ought to hold up that handful of wood.
Yes, sir. We's loaded light this time.
I'll say you are. Won't your mules pull?
Seems like the old Scratch himself got into blind Mary.
From the looks of things, she needs something to eat. Maybe she's too weak to pull.
She could pull all right if she just would, sir.
Why in the name of mercy did you come here trying to haul wood with such a turnout as this?
Yes, sir, but...
But nothing. Leading your poor mules that way won't make them pull. Here, son. You hold her head a minute. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Back. That's the girl now. Easy.
You sure you know your stuff about mules, Fessel?
Well, I know enough not to starve them to death. Not to try to haul wood with a harness and wagon falling to bits. What's the matter, son?
Nothing, sir.
You're shaking with a cold.
But no, sir, I ain't cold.
All right. Here goes. Get up there. Get up. Get up.
Yeah, he sure can drive, can't he, son?
Look out. That wheel's going to fall off.
Well, I reckon there won't be any more wood hauling. Here, take your mules and your rattle trap and clear out.
We'll fix that up, sir. In a jiffy.
Here, we're getting a new wheel, huh? Well, you need 4 new wheels. Here's $1, though you haven't earned even 50 cents. I'll get somebody else to haul my wood. Good Lord, heavens above.
What is it, Marvin?
Oh, these Negroes, these Negroes. You needn't come back tomorrow. Just forget it. Just forget it.
Don't let it fret you, sir.
Well, how can I help it? There are millions like them. Hopeless, helpless.
Oh, come on. Finish your breakfast, Marvin.
What do you say, Pat?
I reckon that's the end of our job. We got to get this thing home. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Yeah, well, why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing.
I'm a mind to get a switch and fail you. Quit looking at me.
I ain't done nothing.
You ain't done nothing. Nobody done nothing. Mule's done nothing. You done nothing. That professor talking to me. Abuses me like a dog. Mule, hold your head up! I reckon that'll hold you for a while, you... Yeah. Help me get one of these limbs and stick on this axle. Got to drag this thing back home. You hear me? You hear me?
Yes.
Catch hold of that side of the wheel and lift it up. Got to put a limb on it and drag home. What business is it yours, woman?
Well, I ain't got your dinner ready yet.
We don't want no dinner.
What's the matter, son?
Nothing.
What in the world's happened, boy?
Stop! Stop, I tell you!
What's happened?
Nothing. Nothing.
Did your wagon break down, son?
Yes, it did. Had to haul the wagon home ourselves.
Don't worry about it, son. We'll get us a new wagon. Maybe. Sometime.
It ain't that. It ain't that.
Oh, what is it, baby?
It's Pappy. Pappy. The way that man treated him.
What man?
Shut up, Bobo.
He talked rough to Pappy.
What?
And Pappy couldn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing.
Shut up, I tell you.
Don't let that boy.
Lay our hands on him, I'll beat him black and blue.
Don't you do it. Don't you. Don't look like that. Oh, honey, never mind. Please, Pappy, please.
Yeah, that white man. You ought to get my gun and go back and kill him.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
And the way he look at me, abuse me. They put out the light, make the day dark like a cloud. Stomp on me, squash me. Give me no chance. Yeah, taking your life away, take all. Put a fence around the world and leave you no room. Now I'm down at the bottom. Oh.
Look at your poor face. In your eyes. Don't cry. I got my arms about you. All safe about you, honey. I'll hold you tighter.
I ain't crying, gal. Ain't no use to cry. There ain't no use.
Come on. I'll get you dinner.
In our Bill of Rights, we say that no man shall be deprived of his vote by reason of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. We say that under the law all men are equal. We do not always observe even the letter of our law. And if we did, it would not suffice. For freedom is of faith, and laws alone will never save us if we lose faith. Faith in equal justice and equal freedom for all.
This afternoon's Columbia presentation of the Free Company's drama by Paul Green starred Canada Lee as Pappy, with Georgette Harvey as Mammy, Edna May Harris as Bobo, Louis Van Rooten as the Professor, and Marietta Canty. Music was arranged and conducted by Len Murray, and the production was under the direction of Norman Corwin. For 10 cents, the cost of printing and mailing, you may receive a copy of this broadcast. Write to the Free Company in care of the Columbia Broadcasting System, New York. Next Sunday, April 20th, at this same time, you will hear a verse drama by Archibald Macleish, starring Burgess Meredith, titled The State's Talking. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fail? Burgess Meredith speaking from Hollywood for the Free Company. Today, Melvyn Douglas, Clair Trevor, Edward Ellis, Margaret Hamilton, and Charles Bickford appear in a new original radio play, The Mole on Lincoln's Cheek, by Mark Connelly, author of the Pulitzer Prize play Green Pasture. The Mole on Lincoln's Cheek is the second in a series produced by the Free Company, a group of prominent writers, actors, and radio workers who have organized to give expression to their faith in American democracy. Some of these plays will deal with one or more of the 8 basic freedoms assured to all citizens in the Bill of Rights. Today's drama, for example, concerns freedom of speech as applied to teaching. Other plays will cover more general ground. All of them are intended to explain and to illustrate the meaning of our freedom. All of them will be written by America's most distinguished dramatists, including Maxwell Anderson, Sherwood Anderson, Stephen Vincent Benet, James Boyd, George M. Cohan, Norman Corwin, Paul Green, Ernest Hemingway, Archibald Macleish, Orson Welles, Elmer Rice, Robert E. Sherwood, and John Steinbeck, 9 of them Pulitzer Prize winners. And now, Mark Connelly's original radio play, The Mole on Lincoln's Cheek.
Thy banners may cheer Very good. But children, stay in your seats. The bell hasn't rung yet. Oh, I know it isn't easy to get used to school again and a new teacher, but I think tomorrow we'll all feel more at home together. I know I'm going to like being here, and I know I'm going to like you. And you can make it easy for me to like you by being good pupils. Now, that's not what I call being a good pupil. Do you think your seat is about to collapse?
No, ma'am.
Well, then sit back in it. Will you tell me your name again?
Eddie Etheridge.
Oh, yes. Have I been boring you, Eddie?
You what?
Have you heard one word of what I've been saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then sit properly, please. You're not going to exit under your desk, you know. Remember, march out in order. Class dismissed.
Oh,
Some more pie, Mrs. Roberts?
No, thanks, Clara. Miss Thatcher might.
Oh, no more, thank you. It was delicious, though. You want some, Mr. Roberts?
Mr. Roberts don't want any more. I'm glad you like lemon pie, Miss Thatcher. If you're going to board with us, you'll enjoy it every Tuesday. I don't think we've missed a Tuesday in 18 years, have we, Clem?
No.
Well, how'd you like your Millersville class, Miss Thatcher?
Oh, very much. They're unusually bright children.
I guess they have to be with all the things they teach them these days.
They're teaching them too much.
Mr. Roberts, don't you agree there are many things children must know today they didn't need to 30 years ago?
What?
Well, nowadays, if they don't know more about Europe, for instance, they're not going to be able to understand and appreciate their own country as they should.
They don't need to have politics thrown at them.
Oh, but we've been teaching civics since they've been public schools, and, well, civics embrace political history.
Are you teaching them politics in your class?
No, I'm afraid the 5th grade is a little young for civics.
That ain't the way the communists feel. They like to get at them young.
There isn't any communism in your schools, is there?
We've seen signs of it, but it ain't going to get very far.
Now, Mr. Roberts and I usually go to the movies on Tuesday night, and if you'd like to come along...
Oh, that's very kind of you, but as a matter of fact, I've already made an engagement to go.
Oh, that's nice. You going with one of the other teachers?
No, Mr. Hunter's going to call for me about 8.
Oh, that's nice, too. You must have made quite an impression on the principal. Last year, he never took any of the teachers to the movies.
Well, I've known Mr. Hunter for some time.
That's so. Where'd you meet him?
The summer before the war started. We were both in a teachers' group that was touring Europe.
And you met him on the tour?
Mm-hmm.
Were you there when the war began?
Yes. We managed to get out of Germany just in time.
On that trip you made, did you go to Russia, too?
Yes. Russia, France, Germany, and England.
Yeah, I thought so.
What do you mean, Mr. Roberts?
I was just wondering where Mr. Hunter got some of those radical ideas of his.
What radical ideas, Mr. Roberts?
Now, Clem, Miss Thatcher's a friend of Mr. Hunter's.
Okay. Better get our hats if we're going to go to the movies. Good evening, Miss Thatcher.
Good evening, Mr. Hunter. Were your ears burning a little while ago?
Oh, why?
Well, I don't think Mr. Roberts approves of you completely.
No, I'm afraid he doesn't. If he ever learns you came here on my recommendation, I don't think your fine record in Bridgeton is going to help you.
Well, he isn't very cordial now.
You know, you don't have to live here, even if he is a member of the school board.
Oh, no, sir. I intend to do a little work on him. You know, I'd really like to find out what's behind those fixed ideas of his.
I'm afraid you won't get very far. You ought to see him at a school board meeting.
Has he made trouble for you?
When I became principal last year, Roberts almost stopped me from using the Clavering textbooks.
But didn't you tell him that they were required reading in half a dozen states?
Yes, but Roberts acted as though I'd brought the Clavering series personally from Moscow.
Oh, goodness.
I pointed out that Dr. Clavering was one of the most honored educators in America. I couldn't convince Roberts that he wasn't dedicated to poisoning the minds of school children.
Well, but you got the books approved all right.
Yes. I hope Hope I won't have him against me on anything this year. The 3 new board members are all friends of his. Well, you ready?
Yes.
You want to know what subversive activity I've planned?
What?
I intend to hold your hand at the movies, even if they ride me out of town on a rail.
Albert, 3 times 12.
36.
Eleanor, 4 times 7.
28. Monitor of erasers.
Uh-huh. That's fine.
Why don't you sign the report card now, Pop? Then it'll be ready.
Because I want to go over it. We've got all day tomorrow and Sunday.
Is there a league meeting tonight?
Why do you think I'm putting on this uniform?
Well, there could be a parade.
You never saw me parade at night.
What are they going to meet about tonight?
Oh, we're going to talk about new officers for next year. If you don't ask too many questions, they may make me commander.
Isn't being vice commander just as good?
No, that's just being second in command. Darn collar's getting awful tight.
Pop, did you know in the Revolutionary War, a lot of the soldiers didn't have any uniforms at all?
That's right. They were very poor.
Some of them were rich, though.
Not many.
I bet the smugglers were.
Who?
The smugglers, like John Hancock.
What John Hancock?
Huh? The John Hancock that signed the Declaration of Independence. He was a smuggler.
Who said so?
It's true. It's in the book.
What book?
The history book at school.
John Hancock was one of the founders of our country. You remember what happens to you when you tell dream lies.
But this isn't a dream lie. It's in the book. And Miss Thatcher had me read it to the class today. I've got it downstairs. I'll show it to you.
You bet you will. Wait a minute. I'm going down with you. Get my cap out of the box. What does that book say about George Washington?
I forget all. But he had false teeth.
Mm-hmm. I suppose he was a crook, too.
Oh, no, sir. He was all right.
How would you know? I like 'em feeding you kids that stuff.
But it's true, isn't it, Pop?
Listen, son, they're giving you a lot of anti-Americanism. Now let's get down and look at that book. What's the name of that teacher of yours? I'm here to tell you that you fellas don't know what's going on at that school. When my kid got through talking, I thought he might be just making things up the way kids do. But I saw the things he was talking about printed in the book the kids are learning from. Printed right there in that book.
Something ought to be done about that quick.
What do you think we ought to do, Harry? I'll tell you what we ought to do. I want the American Veterans League to make a protest and send it to me as a member of the school board. I'll turn it over to the superintendent of schools Monday morning. Then we'll get action.
Will somebody put that as a motion? I move that the Veterans League Millersville unit demand that the school board investigate un-American activity.
I'm afraid I can't have dinner with you tonight.
Oh, why?
I've got to go to a school board meeting. The witch hunters are riding again.
In what direction?
Toward a bonfire of the Clavering textbooks.
But I thought you convinced them last year that...
Now we've got 3 new members on the board. Each as reactionary as Mrs. O'Leary's cow. Put an unexpected truth in front of them, and they'll always kick over the lamp. Tonight, Mr. Etheridge promises to introduce some surprises.
I want to go to that meeting.
I don't think that would be wise.
I'm going just the same. I've got a feeling I'm one of the surprises.
that last year, the fact that some other school boards had approved the Clavering books persuaded the Millersville board to adopt them. Gentlemen, I maintain this board has had something put over on it, and that we can't repair the damage a minute too soon. Before I'm through, I think you'll decide to get rid of these books and the people who are using them for anti-American purposes.
Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Taylor?
As superintendent of schools, I'm included in Mr. Etheridge's generalities, and I believe...
I'm not including you, Dr. Taylor. I know you 100% American. Mr. Hunter here is the man I'm concerned about. Now, I don't know whether the whole board has ever read these Clavering books. I doubt the new members have.
I read them.
I know you did, Mr. Roberts. And I wish I'd been on the board when you tried to stop them last year. But for the benefit of those that haven't read these books, I have a few quotations I want them to listen to. And I think they'll be just as appalled as I was by the dirty, disgusting, un-American statement this man Clavering makes. Listen to this one on page 22, book 4. In many instances, the devotion was caused less by patriotism than by the opportunity for what today we would... That's a fine way to help children take pride in their forefathers, isn't it? And look what he has to say about the Boston Massacre, one of the outrages that brought on the revolution. I quote, "The mob was at least as much to blame for the Boston Massacre as the troops."
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hunter. I'm afraid Mr. Etheridge will find that the book is quite correct on that point.
You mean calling American patriots a mob?
On that occasion, they really were a mob.
That isn't the main point. It's the whole general attitude the books take I object to. It's the undermining of our children's confidence in the men who helped make America what it is. What good is there in saying John Hancock was a smuggler? All these dirty personal insults to great men's memories. Saying John Adams was a political boss. Andrew Jackson was rough and uncultured. Couldn't even spell correctly. He says that about another American president. Dirty personal insults to our American heroes. Now that's swell stuff to feed the mind of kids, isn't it? Gentlemen, if what I've read to you isn't enough to justify throwing out these books and the man who brought them to Millersville, I'm going to show you the damage that's been done already. What happens when Mr. Hunter brings his own picked teachers into our schools and turns them loose on our boys and girls? Ask Mrs. Dayton and her son to come in. Come right in, Wilbur. You come in too, Mrs. Dayton. This is Wilbur Dayton. Sit down, Wilbur. How old are you, son?
10.
Now, I want you to tell these gentlemen just what you told me this afternoon.
Well, we were all sitting there, and Miss Thatcher said, "Do you know who this is?"
Wait a minute, Wilbur. Are you talking about the geography class on Thursday?
Yes, sir.
What made it different from any other geography class?
Well, because Miss Thatcher opened her desk and took out the statue.
What kind of a statue?
Hitler's statue.
You mean Adolf Hitler of Germany?
Yes, sir.
Did she tell you what it was?
Yes, sir.
Did she tell you what the school children in Germany did when they saw the statue of Hitler?
Yes, sir.
What did they do?
They saluted it.
And what did you do?
Well, she told us what a great man he was, and then we said, "Heil Hitler."
All right. You can go now, Wilbur.
No, he mustn't go. This isn't a fair hearing at all. I should like to question Wilbur.
Mr. Chairman, this young woman has no official standing at this hearing, and I don't want this child intimidated.
Mr. Chairman, I'm this child's teacher, and if I'm being included in these charges, I have a right to defend myself, too.
That's substantially true, Miss Etheridge. I think Miss Thatcher has the right to question Wilbur. Go ahead, Miss Thatcher.
Thank you. I was told this might happen, and I brought something along with me to show you. It's right here in my purse. Now, I want you gentlemen to look at that statue you heard so much about. I think you'll admit that statue isn't a very accurate description of it. Wilbur, is this what I showed you and the other children in class Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you call it a statue?
Well, it's Hitler.
Yes, of course it is. Do you remember what I said it was?
Oh, you said it was a toy you got in Germany.
Didn't I say I saw children buying them from a man on the street?
Yes, ma'am. They cost 10 pfennigs.
Didn't I say I wanted to show you the difference between the toys children play with here and the ones they have in Germany?
Yes, ma'am.
But she made you salute it, too, didn't she?
Wilbur, did I tell you to salute it?
Some of us did.
Yes. And I'd like to show you, gentlemen, why they did. When you pull this string, you see the little arm goes up in the air in a kind of salute. Now, completely for their information, I told them that German children were led to believe Hitler was much more than just a human being. He was perfect and above all criticism. That they had to salute even this little figure of him. I know, because I saw it done. Before I said any more, half a dozen of them were raising their arms and saluting it, too. Isn't that exactly what happened, Wilbur?
I guess so.
You mustn't guess, Wilbur. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
And didn't we all laugh when you imitated the little figure and raised your arms?
Yes, ma'am.
When you and Eddie Etheridge said, Heil Hitler, what did I do?
Well, you laughed.
And what else?
You told us to stop.
Well, just one more thing, Wilbur. Have you ever heard me at any time say that Germany was better than America? Or that anybody in Germany was better than anybody in America?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember what I said Hitler was doing to the children in Germany?
That they had to obey him like mules.
Did I say mules?
Like donkeys.
All right. Thank you, Wilbur. That's all I want to ask you.
All right, you can go home now, Wilbur. Unless Mr. Etheridge wants to ask you some more questions.
This still doesn't change the fact that the Clavering series is a menace to this town. And I move that we vote on the question of removing them.
Very well, Mr. Etheridge. Is there any more discussion? Mr. Hunter, is there anything you'd like to say?
There isn't very much he can say. It's black and white.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think I would like to say a few words. The Clavering books were bought by this board on my recommendation. And I'm to go on record as saying that I've just as high an opinion of them today as I had when I urged you to purchase them last year. They deal honestly with historical truth.
That's not the point. There's a lot of things that are true that you don't have to tell children.
Mr. Etheridge, what do you believe is the purpose of teaching American history?
Why, to instill patriotism.
Well, believe it or not, Mr. Etheridge, the great army of decent school teachers in America want our children to be patriotic, too. But I think we have different definitions of a patriot. We teachers believe that a patriot is someone who exerts himself to promote the well-being of his country. That's Dr. Clavering's definition. And it's in the dictionary, too. You say Dr. Clavering's a muckraker. I say he's an American patriot who has written in his books not only the great achievements of our country and the men who made it what it is, but the human aspects of our history that let us see and understand as clearly as possible the living world in which the contributors to our greatness existed. They didn't live on monuments. They were human beings, some weak, some strong, some facing crises with level heads, some merely passionate, some scrupulously honest, some not. George Santayana, one of the greatest teachers America ever had, said those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Now, no one can deny that we're living in a changing world. Its social and economic orders are vanishing in front of our eyes. The chief purpose of teaching history is not to glorify the past, but to ensure the future. And our children have the right to be given history truthfully, so that they can use its lessons to solve the problems every human being faces today. The only way to make a child a real patriot is to give him history, not an arrangement of eulogies and flowery obituaries under the guise of history.
I'd like to have the floor.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Last year, I said the board ought not to buy the Clavering books because I'd been told how radical they were. Well, this year we've got a very bright boarder at our house, that Miss Thatcher you just had up. And I'm here to say that in the last couple of months she's opened my eyes. And so has Mr. Hunter. And I ain't ashamed to say that when I said we oughtn't to buy the books because they were communistic, I made a darn fool of myself, and I ain't going to do it again. I'm behind Mr. Hunter 100%.
What you told me this afternoon, you'd back me up.
No, I didn't. I just said I'd be here and I'd have my eyes open. Harry, I don't want to get into a fight with you. I just want to ask you this. Has Mr. Hunter convinced you you're wrong?
He hasn't convinced me this Clavering isn't a muckraker.
Then you're even dumber than I was. Can't you see that you're the muckraker?
What are you talking about? Just because I'm American enough?
Now, wait a minute. You'll have a chance to answer me when I get through. These Clavering books don't insult and cheapen our great men. You're doing that by implying that they weren't big enough to survive a comparison of their faults and virtues. Now, let me show you what I mean. All our lives, we've been used to seeing pictures and photographs and statues of Lincoln with a mole on his cheek. Right here. And if any painter or sculptor dared to show us Lincoln without that mole, there ain't nobody over 8 years old in America wouldn't say, "Put that mole back." We know it don't make him look like a movie hero, but he didn't happen to be a movie hero. So you put that mole back, because that's the way he was. It makes him realer to us. We want him tall and lanky, with big knuckles, and forgetting sometimes to have his pants pressed. We know Lincoln pretty well. We ought to know America just as well as we know Lincoln. And if it's parts of this history ain't pretty to look at, let's face the facts, then make improvements as we get a chance to. If you want to see what happens to a country that has nothing but little tin gods in it, look at Germany. School children there are being taught on your system. All their leaders are perfect, and all their histories are being rewritten to prove it. Well, you want our kids to be told about America that way? We know that everything considered, it's one of the best countries ever organized. We want to keep it that way. And that means not being afraid to learn what made it tick in the beginning and what keeps it going today. Now, it's getting late and there's a question before the board. But if you ain't convinced yet, I'm prepared to sit here all night to get it through that thick skull of yours.
It is moved and seconded that the Millersville Board of Education
Sorry to take you away from your class.
Oh, that's all right.
Did you see Mr. Roberts last night?
No, but I talked with him this morning. He told me how they voted.
Well, we're safe for another year.
Yes, darling. We'll always be safe. As long as there are Americans like Mr. Roberts to keep his eyes open.
Our freedom, then, has this meaning, that here in our land, the truth may be taught always. Academic freedom is the first liberty to die when dictators rule, for dictators know the power of education. Let us, like Mr. Roberts in the play, keep our eyes open for truth. Let us resist any attempt to suppress truth or to distort it. Let us consider again the most powerful words ever spoken against the enemies of man, the lightning-charged words of Lincoln at Gettysburg, and let us renew in this threatening hour his high resolve that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. In this, the second of our series of broadcasts, the stars and the author of today's drama joined the Free Company under chairmanship of James Boyd, contributing their services without payment. Lee Stevens composed and conducted an original musical score. The Free Company producer is Charles Vanda. To the Screen Actors Guild and to the American Federation of Radio Artists and to the Columbia Network, all who have combined to make this series possible, to all these people, with a word of a special thanks to Irving Reese, who directed. This is Burgess Meredith offering the sincere thanks of the Free Company.
All those who enjoyed Mark Connelly's play today will be glad to know that a complete copy of the broadcast has been printed for distribution to listeners. For 10 cents, the cost of printing and mailing, you may receive your copy. Write to the Free Company in care of the Columbia Broadcasting System, New York City. Copies of subsequent Free Company plays will be made available each week as the series goes on. All criticisms of historical facts contained in The Mole on Lincoln's Cheek are based on authentic conditions. There is no flavoring series, but you will find the names of the actual textbooks containing the controversial facts used in the play in Howard K. Beale's Survey of Teaching, which he prepared for the Commission on Social Studies of the American Historical Association. Next week at this time, the Free Company presents An American Crusader by Robert E. Sherwood, author of Abe Lincoln in Illinois and There Shall Be No Night, starring Franchot and a distinguished company. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail or land or life if freedom fail?
Ladies and gentlemen, today CBS is proud to contribute its facilities to a new and important development in radio history, the Free Company. The Free Company is a voluntary group of distinguished American playwrights, writers, actors, and radio workers who have joined their talents to bring you this series with no compensation other than the knowledge that it may serve America. With James Boyd as national chairman, Robert E. Sherwood, chairman of the Writers' Committee, and Burgess Meredith, chairman of the Actors Division, the Free Company will present original radio plays written by its members, Maxwell Anderson, Sherwood Anderson, Stephen Vincent Benet, James Boyd, George M. Cohan, Mark Connelly, Noel Green, Archibald Macleish, Orson Welles, Elmer Rice, William Saroyan, and Robert E. Sherwood, 9 of them Pulitzer Prize winners. The plays will feature America's most distinguished screen and stage stars in the leading roles. And now, Burgess Meredith for the Free Company.
This is Burgess Meredith speaking from Hollywood. The purpose of the Free Company is to present in terms as eloquent as its members can command the meaning of freedom, and to serve as a free expression of their faith in American democracy and in the basic civil rights which make it possible. Some of these plays utilize for their dramatic themes particular sections of the Bill of Rights. Others, like today's drama, will be more general in scope. For our first play in this series, Pulitzer Prize playwright William Saroyan has written The People with Light Coming Out of Them. In the cast will be John Garfield, Nancy Kelly, Eduardo Cianelli, Edmund Gwenn, William Tracy, Tim Holt, and Clinton Rosamon. The brilliant work of these artists in motion pictures is known to all of you. When we asked William Saroyan to join the Free Company, Bill said,
Well, sure. I'm fond of freedom, crazy about company. What do I do?
Write us a play.
Okay, when?
Now?
Right now?
Right now.
Good. What do you want this play to be about?
About the United States of America.
My favorite subject.
About why you like America.
Why? You might as well ask me why I like to breathe. What do you really want?
Well, Bill, tell us something about why you think this country is worth living and fighting for. Give us your reasons in a little play. You have reasons.
Oh, millions of them. As many reasons as there are places and people. Take California, for instance, or Texas, or New York. Take San Francisco, or Peoria. Or take any place. Rockville Center, Freeport, Merrick, Belmore, Wantagh, Seaford, Massapequa, Amityville, Lindenhurst, and Babylon.
Wait a minute. Can't you sort of break that down a little?
Sure. We'll make it local. Now, look, we'll take one city block, any place, one American row of houses. Okay, now, there it is. Now, we'll take one American. Anybody. Let's take something like myself so I'll know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, anybody. Instead of being a writer, let's say this fellow's a painter. He looks at things carefully and then paints what he sees in them. Okay, now, there's one street and there's this young painter. He's standing on the corner.
What corner?
This American corner. Mm-hmm. Now, give me a typewriter and I'll go to work.
Sure, here you are. Now, you sit right down.
Thanks. Come on, old Walt Whitman. Tell us about America. Tell us about where we live, about home and the family. And Mark Twain, you tell us about it. And old Dan Boone. And 130 million people. You tell us about it.
This is a good block. I'll tell you who lives in this block. Well, in the flat below me is the old husband and the wife and their granddaughter. The old man's retired. He used to be a railroad worker. They gave him a pension about 2 years ago. Yesterday I saw him at the corner, just kind of standing in the sun there, burned up about having no job. And he said,
"Oh, how does anybody know when a man's through? I'm not through, and I never have been. As long as a man wants to work, he's not through. So I'm keeping busy. Aye, they're not going to kill me with kindness. Do you know what I'm doing now, eh? Well, it's the truth. I've got a whole setup in the basement. Aye, last week I made a little table, and this week I'm working on a chair. I've got to keep going. I've got to do things. You can hear me hammering down there now, can't you?
Is that you hammering?
Yeah. And how's it sound to you? Eh? Young and vigorous?
It doesn't sound old.
I'll say it doesn't. There's plenty of people around here that can use a table or a chair or one thing or another. And I'm going to go ahead and make these things. And if they can't afford to pay for the lumber, I'll make them a present of it. I like to be making something. I don't like to sit around being an old man. Ever hear me sing while I'm working?
Yes, I believe I have.
Well, now, how does it sound? Hey, come on now, tell me the truth.
Well, not bad at all. What is that song you keep singing all the time?
Oh, it's Dolly Day.
Is that what it is?
Ah, you mean, oh, Dolly Day, she looks so gay. I run all around and around to hear her fairy footsteps play as she comes over the ground.
Yes.
Oh. Ah, it's my favorite, Dolly Day. It's my wee wifey's name, Dolly. Well, so long, lad.
So long, Pop. I'll be seeing you. Well, the old man and his wife, they're folks. And the girl, their granddaughter, she's a stenographer somewhere. And she goes to work every morning looking like a princess. The old man, he's Scotch. And his wife's English, with a little French. And the granddaughter's mother, she has some Spanish. That's a lot of folks. Well, I was sitting on the steps last Sunday when the girl came home from church. I never saw anything prettier. She's something like her grandfather when it comes to starting a conversation anywhere at all. She came up the street and started talking from about 10 yards away.
Hello. You're the man who's taken the flat upstairs, aren't you? No, it seems funny not hearing a lot of noise up there anymore. There were 5 growing kids in the family that moved out just before you moved in, and, gee, they sure used to have a lot of fun. Gosh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
It sure is. One of the most beautiful I've ever seen. Too good to waste indoors.
That's one thing I like about church on a good day. When it's all over, you go out humming the last song they sang, and you step into beautiful sunshine and walk home feeling glad and hungry and happy about everything.
I've got to do that. I've got to go to a church next Sunday myself. What kind of sermon was it?
Oh, it was a little sad and made me feel angry about the war and the way people are behaving, but, well, we got to know about wars and what they mean to people and what they do. So the last song we sang was Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages. I haven't heard that song in years.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. Rock of Ages, cleft for me. It's good for people to feel that something is solid for them to hang on to. People sing songs like that all over the world, I guess. What do you do?
Yes, that's exactly how she said it. She's an American. She wanted to know, so she asked. She was sincere, and she was interested. I told her, I'm a painter.
Oh, a house painter?
Well, I paint houses, too, among other things, but I don't mean that kind of painting. I paint on canvas.
You mean you're an artist?
Well, yes, although that sounds a little high tone for me. I'm a worker whose work it is to paint. I've got no boss, and I don't keep regular hours or anything like that. But I work like everybody else.
Gosh, I never knew people could live so near artists.
Wait a minute, don't get me wrong. I'm not famous. In fact, I'm not very well known to more than 10 or 11 people in the whole world. I'm not rich either. I'm sort of poor, but it seems like everything I really want and need, I usually...
Well, how do people get to be painters?
Well, I suppose it creeps up on them gradually until they're so sure they're painters they're willing to work for years trying to prove it. I'm in my 7th year now.
Have you got a lot of paintings?
Lots of them. Dozens.
Could I see them sometime?
Well, I wish you would. But I've got to warn you, they're not nearly as pretty as some people in the world. Well, why don't you get your grandfather and grandmother and someday when I'm in town go upstairs and loaf around? Door's always open.
Oh, we wouldn't go into your house if you weren't there.
Well, why not? It would be easier for you to look at the paintings, and I wouldn't be there to bother you and trying to explain them to you. It's not easy for a painter to explain his pictures. You see, you start to paint things, and after a while, as you learn more and more about painting, you start to paint what's inside of things and always coming out. Light comes out of most things, especially people. And it sometimes comes out of houses and streets and rooms and windows and all sorts of things that everybody sees every day. Well, I sort of concentrate on that light. I'm interested in it, even when there's no sun shining. If you look carefully, you can see light coming out of all sorts of things. But it's not easy to explain.
Gosh, you sound like a preacher. Only it sounds real, not like a sermon.
Everybody's a preacher, yes, but it's simply a question what a man preaches.
Well, what do you preach?
Tell you the truth, I believe something that's so ordinary it's almost embarrassing to mention it. In fact, somebody sophisticated might laugh at me. I believe there's more good in things than anybody ever bothers to see. So I keep looking for it all the time. And when I find it, I try to keep it in a painting so other people can see it too. After they see it in a painting, well, they see it everywhere else too. That's what painting's for.
Say, can we really go up and look at the paintings?
Well, I'm going to take a walk to town in about an hour. Why don't you all go up after you've had dinner? I won't be back until evening.
You sure you won't mind?
Mind? I want you to see my pictures. That's why I paint them.
All right, then. We'll go up. And thanks.
Okay. Well, she walked off, and I went up to my room. You hear that? That's Mike Ogagawa. He lives across the street. He's 16. His father runs that cleaning and pressing place. Mike delivers for his father. I've been here only 2 weeks, and I know practically everybody in this block. Take Mike, for instance. He came upstairs one afternoon with one of my suits his father had cleaned and pressed. I was working at the time, and it looked as if it was going to be a good picture, so I didn't want to stop working. I hollered, "Come in." The door opened, and somebody said,
"I brought your suit."
"Okay, bring it up and put it on a chair somewhere." I went right on working. I guess I must have worked at least 40 minutes more before I stopped. The picture wasn't finished, and I didn't feel like doing any more work for a while. Wait till morning and go back to it fresh. Well, I lit a cigarette, inhaled, and yawned, and stretched. Hello, who are you?
Mike.
Hiya, my name is Jim Smith.
Pleased to meet you.
How long have you been here?
Ever since I brought your suit.
Oh, I'm sorry. How much is it?
Oh, it's all paid for. You paid my father the day you brought it in. Don't you remember?
Then why?
I wanted to see you make the picture. I never saw a man paint a picture before. Can I look at it?
Sure. It's not finished, but you can take a look at what I've got so far.
Thanks. That sure is pretty.
Do you really mean that?
That second house, that's our house, isn't it?
But do you live in that house with the green roof?
Sure, right over the shop. Wait till I tell Pa. It sure is pretty.
What's your last name, Mike?
Akagawa. I bet you know what nationality that is.
Well, since it's yours, I'd say it's American.
Oh, sure. But when it's my father's, it's Japanese, I guess. He was born in Japan. I was born in that house in the picture. Gee, I never thought I'd see that little house in the picture.
Listen, though, will you? Listen to Mike Akagawa across the street blowing the trumpet. Isn't that beautiful? That's what I like about this block. All the wonderful Americans living here, doing their work and raising their families, going to school, trying to learn how to play the trumpet and looking around everywhere for the good things. 3 doors from here is the Areola family. Father, mother, and 7 kids, all under 17. Well, they're a great gang of people. The father works in the wholesale produce market, so he gets up at 3 in the morning to go to work. You know, I sometimes walk around town late at night to see how things are then. And one night, as I was coming home, I ran into Pete Areola on his way to work. Well, it's very quiet at 3 in the morning, and you don't expect a stranger to come up to you and start to talk. But Pete did.
Hello.
Hello.
You are the new fellow in this neighborhood, ain't you?
Yes, I am. I've got that flat 3 doors up from your place.
Sure, I see you before. What's your name?
Jim Smith.
My name is Pete Areola.
That's a good name, Pete. You're up early, aren't you?
I go to work every day at 3 o'clock in the morning. Where you been? You work nighttime?
Oh, in a way.
What do you mean?
Well, I haven't got any working hours, so I guess they're all working hours.
Where do you work?
Pete, I'm a painter. I paint pictures. I look around and paint what I see.
You, Peter? Artiste?
Yeah.
I work wholesale produce market. Where's your family?
Well, my wife's visiting her folks. She'll be here in a week or so.
Lonesome, huh?
Oh, little.
You got kids? I got 7 kids.
7, that's swell. I got only 2.
I got 7. All go to school except 2, the babies. Sometime you lonesome, come over to the house. Have a drink of wine, eat some food, and meet the kids.
Thanks, Pete, I will.
Jim, your name?
Yeah, Jim Smith.
All right, Jim, come on over. We have a good time.
Okay. So I went over to Pete's the next night and met the family.
Hello, Jim Smith. Come in. You have supper with us. Hey, Angela, come and get some wine for our new neighbor. This is Jim Smith. Angela, my wife.
How you doing, Mrs. Ariel?
Hello, young fella.
These are my kids. Hey, kids, wait 1 minute. Meet the new neighbor, Jim Smith. And now let's see. We start with the babies. This is Nicky.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Angela, look. The neighbor pick up Nicky. Nicky, you like this fella? Sure you like him, but that's fine. This little girl is Nora, my little flower. This fella's Pat. Hey, Pat, how do you feel?
Okay, Pa. Hello, Mr. Smith.
Hello, Pat.
This lady, oh, she's a lady. Look, those high-heel shoes. She's Rosa. Gonna be opera singer.
I'm gonna be a school teacher.
All right, Rosa, is school teacher and opera singer, too.
Papa wants everybody to be an opera singer.
Next, the big fella. Joe, 14.
Hi.
Tom, 15 and a half.
Hello.
And the oldest boy is Dominic, 16 and a half.
Hi.
There's another one on the way. All right, everybody, this fella, our new neighbor, Jim Smith. All right, Jim, drink this wine. Now, come on, kids, let's give a song. Oh, solo me, everybody together. Dominic, give me one chord in F and make it a good one.
Well, we all sang, and I sang as loud as anybody else. We drank and had supper together and talked, and before I left that house, I knew how important a part of America it is. What a fine American Pete is, and his wife, and all the kids. They've all been up to my place for a visit. Now and then the oldest boy, Dominic, comes up alone and talks. Everybody I've met on this block so far has had something to talk about. Dominic, for instance, wants to know if he ought to go to college like his father wants him to, or if he ought to get out and go to work down at the wholesale produce market and help out with the family expenses. Well, I don't say anything. I just listen. And after 2 or 3 visits, Dominic answers all his own questions. He gets up and he says,
"Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Smith. Thanks for telling me. That's what I'll do. I'll go to college and work both. I guess there's time for everything. If a fellow makes up his mind to find the time. I can work during summer vacation. And I can work Saturdays. I'd work Sundays, too, but we're Catholics, and Ma'd get sore if I didn't go to church Sunday. Well, I'll be seeing you. Gee, that sure is a swell picture."
There's a fellow who's got a furnished room in the house at the corner. He's a doctor at the hospital up the hill. There's a clinic up there, and I drop in once in a while to see the people when they're sick. And that's where I met this fella. Well, the kids love him. They're afraid of the other doctors, but they love Dr. John. John Bailey is his name, but they call him Dr. John. We got to talking, and he came up one afternoon for a drink. I wanted to know why the kids weren't afraid of him. Most people are a little afraid of anybody whose color is a little different from their own, and Bailey's color is the blackest black you ever saw. I asked him about the kids not being afraid of him.
Well, maybe it's because kids are people at their best. A kid with a pain, all he wants is to have the pain taken out of him. I don't go to work on a kid until I get him to know him. We talk a little while, and the first thing I know, they forget I'm a doctor. They even forget I'm colored. And then I know I can go to work. The greater part of pain is feeling hopeless about it. And I never feel hopeless about anything. Kids find out about that, and they stop being afraid of pain, too. Well, by that time, more than half of it's gone, and what's left of it is on its way out. I laugh a good deal, too, because laughter's just about as strong as sunlight as a healing force. Where there's laughter, there's never fear. It helps the kids.
Well, how does it happen that you do laugh, though?
Well, I didn't used to. I used to let my own troubles grow until finally I found out that was foolishness. The living are healthy. Life is healthy. I know that from my way. I've got to help them with medicine and heat and treatment and all that. But what really heals them is their own faith. Mind if I have another drink?
Go ahead. Pour me one, too. All the people in this block are like that, like Bailey and Pete and Mike Okagawa, and the old man and his granddaughter. But this block's no different from any other block in any other town in America. People are like that all over the place. And when you've got people with light coming out of them, like it comes out of these people, and you've got light coming out of their houses and the streets they live in, and the towns where these streets are, and the whole land where these towns are, you hear them coming to life in the morning. The alarm clock's ringing, the faucet's running, and everybody getting up to start another day. You know they're a happy people because they belong to a happy nation. They're a free people, and they're glad to be alive. I've done a lot of looking around all over this country because that's my work, and everywhere I've gone, from the biggest city to the smallest town, I've seen people with light in them, human people. People who are young and friendly and kind. Oh, I know, I've seen bad people, too, all kinds of them. But I looked a long time, and it's gotten so I can see them right through people who look as if they're bad. But they're not bad. They're having trouble. They're up against something. Things have gone wrong. They've lost faith. They need more things than they've got. They're out fighting because they don't know what else to do about the trouble. But even these people are good people. Something's pressing against their spirits, hurting them. Everything isn't perfect in any block in any town or city in this country. But in this country, it's always trying to improve. It's always working at the job. The same as a painter's got to work at a picture he's painting. Look out this window down at the street. It's not a fancy street. The houses aren't much. People in them aren't people you read about in newspapers and magazines. But down there is America. That street and those houses and the people living in them. There is the strength of this nation and the hope of the world. Look at the light shining out of those humble houses. That light is the light of a happy nation, a free and growing people, a human people, a people without fear, a people who love instead of hate, whose casual everyday humanity is stronger than any other power in the world. This is a good block. I like it here because the best in people from all over the world is growing here into the first real nation of the world, the American nation, the nation of human people.
Burgess Meredith speaking. Thank you, William Saroyan. In many countries, the light of humanity flickers and dies, snuffed out by faceless men, by men who have no light in themselves and who therefore deny the existence of light anywhere. Our nation was formulated by men who cherish the light that comes from people. The meaning of our freedom is this: Not here in our land. Darkness can never win. Let us resolve again, in the face of threatening shadows, that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. John Garfield, whom you will see soon in Warner Brothers as Seawolf, Nancy Kelly, will be remembered for her work in Jesse James, Eduardo Cianelli, who played the unforgettable Trach in RKO's Winterset, Edmund Gwenn, whose performance as the murderer in Foreign Correspondent received high acclaim, William Tracy, who played the delightful fresh kid in MGM's A Little Shop Around the Corner, and was now appearing in Darryl Zanuck's Tobacco Road, Tim Holt, who is starring in RKO's The Fargo Kid, and Clinton Rosamon, who is appearing in MGM's forthcoming Blossoms in the Dust, have joined the Free Company in presenting the first in a series of broadcasts, William Saroyan's original radio play, The People with Light Coming Out of Them. Lee Stevens composed and conducted an original music score, Charles Vanda produced. To all these people, to the Screen Actors Guild, and to the American Federation of Radio Artists, and to the Columbia Network, all who have combined to make this series possible, this is Burgess Meredith offering the sincere thanks of the Free Company.
All those who enjoyed Mr. Saroyan's play, The People with Light Coming Out of Them, will be glad to know that a complete copy of the broadcast in printed form has been made available for distribution to all our listeners. For 10 cents, the actual cost of printing and mailing, you will receive your own copy by writing to the Free Company in care of the station to which you are now listening. Copies of subsequent broadcasts during this entire series of productions by the Free Company will also be made available each week. Next week at this same time, the Free Company will present a play by the Pulitzer Prize winner, Mark Connelly, titled The Mole on Lincoln's Cheek. The Free Company series is directed by Irving Reese. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail or land or life if freedom fail? This is Burgess Meredith in Hollywood speaking for the Free Company. Today we hear Franchot and Gail Patrick in a new radio play by Robert E. Sherwood, author of Abe Lincoln in Illinois and There Shall Be No Night. The Free Company is a group of leading writers, actors, and radio workers who have joined together on their own initiative to present a series of dramas illustrating and explaining our basic American liberties. All members contribute their services as a free expression of their faith in American democracy and in the basic civil rights which make that way of living together possible. The list of writers for the Free Company includes some of the most distinguished names in American letters. 9 Free Company members have won Pulitzer Prize awards. Our dramatists include Maxwell Anderson, Sherwood Anderson, Stephen Vincent Benet, James Boyd, George M. Cohan, Norman Corwin, Paul Green, Ernest Hemingway, Archibald Macleish, Orson Welles, Elmer Rice, and John Steinbeck. Today, Robert E. Sherwood's play, An American Crusader, seeks to honor the memory of a man who fought against cruel odds for freedom of speech and for freedom of the press. His name was Elijah Parrish Lovejoy. He lived more than 100 years ago when our country was in a period of growing uncertainty and fear, increasing doubt of the permanence of our institutions. Americans in Lovejoy's time could be heard saying many of the same things that we hear today.
People are hollering about the need for national unity, but there ain't no such thing. Got to abolish slavery. There can be no compromise with evil.
If we keep on the way we're going, we'll be in war, and that'll mean the end of democracy.
What this country needs is sound money. This new doctrine of President Monroe sounds good on paper, but it won't work. The trouble with this country is we're getting mixed up in the politics of Europe. The trouble with this country is...
One of the greatest American voices was raised in an expression of faith at the dedication of the Bunker Hill Monument in Boston. It was the voice of Daniel Webster.
If the true spark of religious and civil liberty be kindled, it will burn. Human agency cannot extinguish it. Like the earth's central fire, it may be smothered for a time. The ocean may overwhelm it. Mountains may press it down. But its inherent and unconquerable force will heave both the ocean and the land, and at some time or other, in some place or other, the volcano will break out and flame up to heaven.
So spoke Daniel Webster, and his words burned into the soul of young Elijah Lovejoy, who had gone from his native Maine to the Theological Seminary in Princeton. The day before his graduation, he is called to the office of Dr. Guthrie, the Dean of the Saints.
Oh, Mr. Lovejoy, I'm glad to see you. Do sit down.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to have a word with you before you leave us. I knew there would be no time in the midst of tomorrow's ceremonies. Of course, like all the others, you'll be glad to be out of this stuffy, scholastic atmosphere.
I'll never stop being grateful to you, sir, for your kindness, your understanding.
I hope you really mean that, Mr. Lovejoy.
I shouldn't say it if I didn't mean it, Dr. Guthrie.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't. I've observed that you're one who isn't afraid to speak his mind. I believe you'll make a great name for yourself as a minister of the gospel.
Dr. Guthrie, I have a confession to make.
I'm eager to hear it, Mr. Lovejoy.
I'm not going to preach the gospel. At least not from the pulpit.
But tomorrow you'll be ordained as a minister. You've been working hard for years to reach that goal.
I know it. But there's a great battle going on. A battle which will decide whether freedom and slavery can continue to exist side by side in the same country, in the same world. I want to join in that fight.
And how do you propose to fight, and where?
I have an opportunity to become editor of a newspaper in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where the fight's strongest. You feel I'm making a mistake?
Naturally, I'm disappointed. I've been a minister of the gospel all my life. For the past 30 years and more, I've been instructing young men like yourself in the Word of God.
And you taught it well, Dr. Guthrie. So well that you filled me with a desire to preach it. Not only from the pulpit, but in the marketplace, in the streets, on the farms, and across the great waters. For the Word of God is the promise of justice to all men, equality for all men, freedom for all men by God's will. I know I can say these things in the church to pious people, but I believe I can say them more strongly through the press, the free press. More people will hear them.
You realize, don't you, that in following this course you'll be risking your life? This war you're entering, it's a bitter war. A war to the death.
I realize that, Dr. Guthrie, but if I am risking my life, it could not be in a better cause.
That is no more than the truth, Mr. Lovejoy. May God give you strength in the battle that is ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Elijah Lovejoy went to St. Louis. He gained recognition as a young man of high promise, of courage, of intelligence, and integrity, and there was no one more appreciative of his good qualities than a certain young lady named Cecilia Ann French.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, miss. What can I do for you?
We want a marriage license.
Well, I suspected as much, seeing as this is the Marriage License Bureau. Name, please?
Elijah Parrish Lovejoy. Date and place of birth, Albion, Maine, November 9th, 1802. And the lovely bride?
Celia Ann French, born right here in St. Louis.
You don't have to say when. Your occupation, Mr. Lovejoy? I'm a minister of the gospel. And I'm editor of the St. Louis Observer. Oh, I thought I'd seen your name somewhere. Been having a mite of trouble, haven't you, Mr. Lovejoy? Yes, a little. Well, I guess everybody is these days. Here's your license. Wish you both luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Elijah.
Yes.
What did he mean, trouble?
Oh, nothing in particular. All newspaper editors have trouble as part of our job.
Elijah, don't lie to me. You have been having a particular kind of trouble, for my father said.
I know what your father says. He thinks I'm one of those crazy reformers who'd better keep their ideas to themselves.
And maybe he's right, Elijah. If you endanger yourself by expressing those ideas.
Celia, listen to me. Your father's a dear old gentleman who has a fine, big plantation and many slaves. And a beautiful daughter. And ideas and beliefs that are not the same as mine. He doesn't think anything should ever be changed.
And you think everything should be changed?
Not quite everything, but many things. Oh, I don't say your father isn't justified in his convictions. But he doesn't realize that times have changed. That what was true in his time is no longer true in yours and mine. He helped shape and build his world, as you and I must shape and build our world, Celia.
But if it means danger and trouble.
There is always danger and trouble when men battle for truth. Celia, darling, I love you more than anything in the world except one thing.
And that one thing?
Man's liberty.
But that's only an idea.
Not an idea, Celia. An ideal. An ideal for which men have fought and died since the beginning of history. It's a never-ending battle, for in every generation there's a new threat, a new menace. And it must be met, no matter what the cost.
I'm not sure that I understand. And I'm a little frightened, too. Oh, Elijah, promise me. Promise me you'll keep out of danger for my sake.
I promise to love you for as long as I shall live. Be content with that, darling. And right now, let's forget everything except the one important fact that we're going to be married.
Slavery must be abolished. The other group was shouting, each state must mind its own business and leave its neighbors alone. And Lovejoy was forced to move his printing press across the Mississippi River to Alton in Illinois. There he and his bride set up housekeeping anew, and he started another newspaper.
Look, darling, the first issue of the Alton Observer. Aren't you proud? You read it.
Slavery is a crime against God and man. It is poison in the very lifeblood of human society. But, Elijah, You're saying the very same things that you said in St. Louis.
Well, of course I am. They're the truth.
But people don't want to hear the truth.
Nonsense, Celia. Illinois is a free territory. It was the truth that set us free. It'll keep us free.
It's all very well to fight for the truth, but not at the risk of losing your home and happiness and maybe your own life.
I wish I could make you understand, Celia, that the truth for which I fight is worth all that risk. Once you see that, once you understand, then you'll not fear any longer.
In a way, I understand. But it all seems so hopeless. You're only one man against a city. What good does it do to raise your voice? Who listens?
When I was still in college, I heard Daniel Webster. I've never forgotten his words. They burned into my very soul. He said, if the true spark of religious and civil liberty be kindled, it will burn. Like the earth's central fire, it may be smothered for a time. The ocean may overwhelm it. Mountains may press it down. But its inherent and unconquerable force will heave both the ocean and the land, and at some time or other, in some place or other, the volcano will break out and flame up to heaven. Those were his words, Celia. I don't want to have it said they were spoken in vain. That's why, even though mine's the only voice in all this territory, it must be raised to keep alive that spark of liberty.
At the risk, Elisha.
I'm going to fight them to the end, Celia. I'm determined. Here's Jake. What is it? The new newspaper. Read that.
Slavery is a crime against God and man.
Well, who's printing that disgraceful and inflammatory?
It's that young preacher that just moved in. Name of Lovejoy.
I say, he's the fellow they threw out of St. Louis.
Sure he is.
He ain't got no right to print such stuff. That's war talk.
That's precisely what it is. Trying to stir up trouble. As Judge Douglas says, he's trying to inflame the passions of men.
If you let people like that go on talking, and worse, printing their opinions, why, we'll end up in war, civil war.
Well, since we seem to be agreed, the next question is, what do we do about it?
Elijah, look. There's a mob of men coming up to the house. Men with torches. Oh, darling, I'm frightened.
There's no need to be, Celia.
What are you going to do?
I'll go out to talk to them.
Oh, Elijah.
I'll be all right, my dear. Well, gentlemen, you just come to call, Mr. Lovejoy. To tell you won't be needing to go down to your newspaper office tomorrow. Because the newspaper ain't any good without a printing press. And your printing press ain't there any longer. You've stolen it?
Oh, no, we ain't stole it. We just heaved it in the Mississippi River.
Yes, you'll find it in the mud, Mr. Lovejoy. And it won't be in very good condition for printing any more of your firebrand war talk.
Have you got anything to say to us before we bid you good night, Mr. Lovejoy? Just this. The Mississippi's a mighty big river, but it isn't big enough to drown all the words that are going to be spoken before this issue's settled. Good night.
You're all right, Elijah?
Yes, dear, I'm all right. But I'm silenced. Oh, you should have listened to your father, Celia. Never married a crazy reformer with no gift for anything but antagonizing people.
Will we have to leave Alton now?
I don't know. I don't know where we could go, or what we could do. We haven't any money left.
Does it matter, darling?
Yes, it does matter. We can't let them beat us this way.
But what's the use of going on, Elijah? Yours is only one voice crying in the wilderness.
All the more reason why my voice must be heard then. For surely somewhere, somehow, somebody will hear. The ocean may overwhelm it. Mountains may press it down. But its inherent and unconquerable force will heave the ocean and land.
There were some who heard, even in Alton. Some who knew Lovejoy was fighting the good fight. And some, too, who knew that he could not fight alone.
Mr. Lovejoy?
Yes, Dr. Maxwell.
I believe you know these gentlemen, Mr. Strother, Mr. Callahan, Mr. Enton.
How do you do, gentlemen? How do you do, sir?
We've come to you on behalf of certain citizens of this town. citizens who've come here from all parts of the country, north and south. We represent all sorts of political opinion, but we are united in our devotion to the principles of our Constitution, including freedom of speech.
Well, I'm glad to hear those principles have not been totally forgotten by all Americans. I am from South Carolina, sir. My family have been slaveholders for generations. But I believe in the words of Voltaire. I disagree with what you say, but I will defend with my life your right to say it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Strother. You're a real patriot.
As we all are, I hope. We've taken up a collection sufficient to buy you a new printing press, Mr. Lovejoy. We wish you to resume publication of your paper.
And if that scalawag mob comes around again, call on us. We'll help you fight them.
Are you ready to fight for freedom, Mr. Callahan?
I'm an American of Irish descent, Mr. Lovejoy. Need I say more?
No, you say no more, or any of you. Gentlemen, this is an act of great generosity and great faith. I shall do my best to justify it.
So, once more, the Alton Observer printed its attacks on slavery and intolerance. But the mob was strong, and again the crusader Lovejoy was attacked and his press destroyed. And he set up a new press in a warehouse in Alton. An armed guard of volunteers assembled to defend the building on the night of November 7th.
I suppose it's useless for me to ask you, beg you, please don't go down there.
Oh, I have to go, my darling. I've got to get the paper out.
They'll try to kill you, you know that.
Yes, I know it. But I also know that they can't kill what I stand for. All over the country, the Friends of Freedom are interested in this fight. We can't surrender now.
What satisfaction will there be for me knowing that your ideals live on while you...
Darling, there are certain things that are more important than our own lives. The things which make our own lives worth living. I'm no hero. I'm just an ordinary person who believes that there's no point in being an American. There's no point in being a man unless this country lives in freedom. If I denied that belief, I wouldn't deserve to be your husband. You know it. There'd be no happiness, no peace for either of us.
All right, Elijah. If that's what you believe, then I can't change you. But I'm going with you.
No, Celia, you can't.
Wherever you are, I want to be.
I've made this fight against your wishes, against your better judgment, yet you've stood by me no matter what you felt or what you believed. But I can't let you do this. The risk's too great, Celia.
No matter what the risk, no matter what I believe, a wife's place is by her husband's side, and that's where I intend to be. I'm going with you, Elijah, and nothing you can say can stop me. I'm determined too, Elijah.
We've got to stop Lovejoy from printing that filthy sheet of his, and we've got to stop him now.
That's right. We can't let him get away with this radical talk any longer.
Destroy his press.
Burn his warehouse, I
No, they've got the warehouse gone. Yeah, but there's only 5 or 6 men at most. We got 30.
And we got guns and we can shoot them.
We gotta get that Lovejoy. We gotta prove to him that guns know what talk. They talk louder than words.
Guns that'll stop his word. Kill Lovejoy. That's the only way to stop him.
Kill Lovejoy. Then you're with me, men. Show me with you. This war talk is being heard all over the country. He's getting people inflamed and excited everywhere.
There's only one way. Kill him and silence him once and for all.
All right. Do we do it now, or do we let Lovejoy go on printing his rotten paper?
We'll do it now.
Here's the headline, Joe. Free men arise, death to slavery. And the subhead, our forefathers fought for liberty, so must we.
If we print that, Mr. Lovejoy, this press will go into the river like all the others.
Just the same. Go ahead and print it. Where's the rest of that copy, Celia?
Right here, darling.
Ready, Joe?
Sure, Mr. Lovejoy.
All right, let's get on with the editorial. The Declaration of Independence...
Lovejoy! Yes, Lovejoy. There's a mob of men out there. They're armed and they're surrounding the warehouse. What should we do?
Lovejoy, we want you to come out of there. We're holding our fire for 1 minute. If you ain't out by then, we're coming in.
Elijah.
Oh, Celia, I should never have let you come. Now I've no choice but to yield.
Not because of me.
Yes, Celia, those men out there are desperate men. They have guns. They mean to use them. Your life's in danger here. That's all my fault. I won't let you take the risk. I'll go out.
Elijah, once you said you were not afraid to die. Then neither am I.
Celia.
If those men out there are the ones you're fighting, if mob violence and hate and destruction are your enemies, then I understand at last what you've been fighting for. Elijah, go on with your editorial.
I'm giving you one last warning, Lovejoy. You better come out.
You're not going out, Elijah. You're going to show them that not even guns can stop you.
Celia, you're wonderful. Callahan, return that fire. But shoot over their heads. We don't want any bloodshed.
I'll tell the boys.
All right, Joe, once again. The Declaration of Independence said to the people of this nation, the whole world, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator. Life, liberty.
They can't shoot. They haven't hit one of us yet. Hey, you, Gus. Bill, Lem, get around there behind that warehouse and heave in some of them flaming faggots. Set it afire. You bet, Jake. And the rest of you keep shooting tight.
Final word of that declaration, with a firm reliance in the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And where is our sacred honor today if we submit meekly and timorously to evil?
Macklin's been killed.
Oh, how terrible.
What about the others?
Two are bad hurt. We can't hold out much longer.
There's no use going on.
There's every use in going on. That's just what that mob out there wants to stop you, but they can't.
I'm thinking of you, see, of your safety.
Please, if you love me, Elijah, go on.
Oh, you're very brave. All right, Callahan, keep firing.
All right.
Let's go on, Joe. Ready?
Yes.
In the preamble to the Constitution of the United States, it is written, we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish...
No use, Lovejoy. We can't go on. They fired the warehouse. There's nothing to do but surrender. It's suicide to go on. Suicide for all of us.
We've got to fight on.
No, Celia, Callahan's right. There's no use going on. They've trapped us. I've got to go out.
Oh, no, you mustn't.
It's my fight, but I've got to finish it my way.
Come on out, Lovejoy. We've got to finish up. Come on out.
Elijah, I can't bear to have him.
Are you coming out, Lovejoy, or is you?
You've been very brave, Celia.
It's you that's made me brave, darling. Without you.
And we've got to go on being brave, both of us. The fight didn't begin with us. It won't end with us.
This is your last chance, Lovejoy.
I'm going out to them, darling.
Yes.
I love you. I love you so very much. Remember that. Always.
It's about time, Lovejoy.
There's no use continuing your useless murder, gentlemen. You've succeeded.
You bet we've succeeded, and that ain't all.
Once again, you've succeeded in suppressing freedom of speech.
Oh, what's that? We thought you'd learned your lesson, Lovejoy, but I guess you're slow to learn. Huh? Big bullets to learn here. How many times have we gone on and on with your war talk? Now we're going to put an end to it once and for all.
Do you really believe that guns can suppress freedom of speech?
We can certainly suppress you, and that's all we're after.
If you believe that in suppressing me, you suppress the beliefs and the ideals for which I stand, then I pity your ignorance.
What's the use of letting him go on talking? Why don't we get it over?
Let me say this one thing. If preaching the gospel of freedom is a crime in this land, then I'm a criminal and I'm ready to die. Other men have died for that same gospel. And God willing, there'll be men who come after me, willing to die.
Let him have it, Jake. As long as you're ready, Mr. Lovejoy.
I'm ready.
So be it.
So died the Reverend Elijah Parrish Lovejoy. In the halls of Congress, an ex-president of the United States, John Quincy Adams, rises to speak.
Elijah Lovejoy is the first American martyr to the freedom of the press and the freedom of the slave.
And in the years that went by, the gospel of freedom that Lovejoy had preached was spread through the land. And in that same state of Illinois, an obscure small-town lawyer arose and spoke. And he was a future president of the United States, and his name was Abraham Lincoln, and he fired the imaginations of men with these immortal words.
If we could first know where we are and whither we are tending, we could better judge what to do and how to do it. A policy has been initiated with the avowed object and confident promise of putting an end to slavery agitation. Under that policy, that agitation has not only not ceased, but has constantly augmented. In my opinion, it will not cease until the crisis shall have been reached and passed. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently, half slave and half free.
As Elijah Lovejoy gave his life for freedom, so did Abraham Lincoln give his life for freedom. The Union was saved, and this nation did endure, all free. Today, the freedom Lovejoy fought for, freedom of the press, is increasingly denied as the enemies of all human liberty march to victory after victory. And under the threat of a world half slave and half free, let us renew again the pledge of Lincoln, and let us once more highly resolve that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Franchot and Gail Patrick, soon to be seen in MGM's Love Crazy, as well as the author of today's drama, Robert E. Sherwood, joined the Free Company under chairmanship of James Boyd, contributing their services without payment. Lee Stevens composed and conducted an original musical score. The Free Company producer is Charles Vanda. To the Screen Actors Guild and to the American Federation of Radio Artists and to the Columbia Network, all of whom have combined to make this series possible, to all these people, with a word of a special thanks to Irving Reese, who directed. This is Burgess Meredith offering the sincere thanks of the Free Company.
All those who enjoyed Mr. Sherwood's play this afternoon will be glad to know that a complete copy of the broadcast has been printed for distribution to listeners. For 10 cents, the cost of printing and mailing, you may receive your copy. Write to the Free Company in care of the Columbia Broadcasting System, New York City. Copies of subsequent Free Company plays will be made available each week as the series goes on. Next week at this time, the Free Company presents One More Free Man by James Boyd, with an all-star cast including Alan Dinehart, Betty Field, Elia Kazan, Margot, Dorothy McGuire, and Lionel Stander, and will be directed by Norman Corwin with music by Bernard Herrmann. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fails?
This is W.B. Lewis, chairman of the radio division of the Free Company, which today presents a new play by James Boyd, author of Drums, Marching On, and Long Hunt. The Free Company is a society of writers, actors, and radio workers organized to prepare and to broadcast a series of radio plays dealing with American democracy. Plays by William Saroyan, Mark Connelly, and Robert E. Sherwood have already been presented. Plays to come will be written by playwrights, novelists, and poets of equal distinction, many of them Pulitzer Prize winners. Some of these plays will be concerned with one or more of the 8 basic freedoms assured to every citizen in the Bill of Rights. Others, like today's drama, will cover the more general theme of freedom as it develops from those basic, vital rights. All are intended to explain and to illustrate the meaning of freedom, to supply, in terms of our lives today, answers to problems such as those faced by Abraham Lincoln when he said,
"We all declare for liberty, but in using the same word, we do not all mean the same thing. With some, the word liberty may mean for each man to do as he pleases with himself and the product of his labor, while with others, the same word may mean for some men to do as they please with other men and the product of other men's labor. The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon a definition of the word liberty."
The Free Company presents Alan Dinehart, Betty Field, Elia Kazan, Sidney Lumet, Margot, Myron McCormick, and Dorothy McGuire in One More Free Man by James Boyd. The time, shortly after Christmas in the year 1890. The place, a cow camp in the Rocky Mountains. A young mother is alone with her baby in the camp's log-built shelter. She came to the camp to spend Christmas with her husband, a mining engineer. They are snowed in, and her baby came at the blizzard's peak. But today, the road has been opened and a team has come up with supplies and a proper crib for the baby.
A mighty river. Your eyes are shut. Your fists are curled. And now you frown. What are you doing in your dreams? I know nothing about baby's dreams, but I know about mother's dreams. Since I first felt you stir, I dreamed about you. And when you came, I was so glad that the pain seemed only pain I dreamed. And still, the dream of you goes on. Already I see that first warm day of spring, when the snow melts up into the sky and you and I drive down to town. Do you know on that first Sunday what we'll do? I can see it in my dreams. I can hear the organ.
Baptized according to our word through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Therefore I baptize thee, John, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
Was that you that cried? You're sleeping. You were crying only in my dreams. The water was cold on your head. But never mind, for now you have a name. Your name is John. No one will ever know any secret name for you, my manger baby. And when you go to school, you will be John. John Cross. In school.
John Cross?
Yes, ma'am?
Who broke the window during recess?
I couldn't say.
You mean, you don't know?
No, ma'am, I don't mean that.
Well, did you?
I couldn't say.
I suppose you don't know that either.
No, ma'am, but if everybody that didn't do it says so, then you'll find out who did.
I have a right to find out.
Not that way.
Are you talking back to me?
Yes, ma'am.
That you'll stay in for 2 hours.
Holy mackerel, teacher, what about the ball game?
He'll miss the ball game.
Oh, shucks, then I done it. I broke it.
Then you'll stay in for 2 hours.
Okay, teacher. John, you clear?
Not at all. John will stay in for 2 hours, too, for talking back.
That's not fair.
2 hours tomorrow and the next day, too.
You're not fair.
2 hours more. Come now, John, this is foolish. If you'll apologize, I'll let you go to the ball game.
I said what I thought.
But that can sometimes be impudent. Come, say you're sorry, and you can go to the ball game.
I said what I thought was right.
Oh, go on, Johnny. Say it and get off. It don't mean nothing.
No.
All right, then. 2 hours today, tomorrow, and the day after.
That's how you'll be in school, perhaps. It'll make life harder for you, my manger baby. But I wouldn't want it otherwise. There are plenty of boys otherwise. And are they happier? Some, perhaps. Am I not a natural mother? Mothers are supposed to wish their children safe and happy. But a boy like you, John, will not grow into a safe man, or even a happy one, unless you have good luck. A girl that you can always love, the only luck that lasts. What will she be like? And will I hate or envy her? Or will I be there to do either? It'll make no difference. They'll not think of me, only of each other, of themselves, as your father and I did just a year ago. Will the wedding be in a church like ours? Yes. Yes, in a church, I think.
What is it, John? What's wrong?
Nothing but this. Do you really love me?
Darling, what a silly question.
If you're not sure, you could still say so.
I wouldn't think of such a thing. Oh, John, I think we're going to have a wonderful life. You're going to succeed. By next year, you'll be superintendent, and we can take the house we looked at.
You can say no still. Right now, I'd understand.
John, you're crazy. Maybe you don't love me.
I do love you. So much that I want everything to be good between us. I'd rather give it up than have it spoiled.
Oh, silly, I'm lucky. All the girls envy me.
But inside, are you sure?
Of course I am.
Oh, my son. Will she be big enough for you? And if not that, faithful enough at least? And if she's not, then who will be? The men you work with? You will be an engineer, I think, like your father and like mine. But builders have no place for manger babies. I see bad times for you. Bad times in the hard, roaring world of engineers.
Yes? What do you want?
I'm John Cross, the super down at Black Rock. The GM sent for me.
The general manager's expecting you. Go on in.
Cross, what's this I hear?
What do you hear?
That you've been talking to the men.
What do they say that
Never mind.
say?
Never mind what they say or what you said. I'm your friend. Now, you've done a good job at Black Rock. Production's up. All I want is just a denial that you've been talking to the men. I've written it out. Sign here. I want to show it to the directors. It'll clear you. Don't read it. Just sign it. And whatever happens, let this be a lesson to you. Never talk to the men.
What do they say that I said?
They say you attended a meeting, that you told them that you would not lay a man off who tried to organize the mine as long as he got out the ore. I don't know whether that's true. I don't want to. I'm your friend, but I'm a busy man. Come on now, sign here. I'll take care of it.
That is what I told them.
You know the company's policy. The minute we hear of a man organizing, we let him out and send his name to the association.
Yes, I told them that. I told them, too, that they had the right to organize. I can't sign any denial.
Cross, everybody makes mistakes, especially when he's green. Now, when you make one, the thing to do is to clear it up and then forget it. In this case, I'm making it easy for you.
Why easy for me?
Why? Well, I don't know. I guess it's because I see something in you. I see boys coming into the mines by hundreds. I size them up. I'm never wrong. You've got a future in this business, Cross. That's all I have to say, and it's much more than I've ever said to any other man. Now, sign here.
It's not what I believe.
Never mind that, boy. Sign.
These men have a right to better their conditions. Their houses are not fit to live in. There's too much rake-off in the company store, too much dust in the working places. We're short on mine props and on ventilators. We're killing men, slowly now, but someday we'll have a big disaster.
My boy, has it ever occurred to you that if a man's not satisfied, he can leave?
Leave? With his family in a company house, with himself in debt to the company store? How leave?
He didn't have to rent the house or run up a store bill, did he?
Where else could he live? How else can he eat when times are slack?
Well, that's his business. He can work it out to suit himself. This is a free country.
Then he's free to organize.
Cross-eyed, no time to argue. You've got a wife. Jobs are scarce. You'll be on every blacklist in the country.
Chief, we're killing men that might be saved. I've seen their bodies carried out. I know them, living and dead. And I'm for them.
So, I've been trying to protect a radical. Smith, write a letter giving Cross notice and phone the head watchman at Black Rock not to let him on the property.
Yes, sir.
Young man, this is not my business, but I'd hate to be your wife. A real man takes care of the woman he marries. I always understood.
A real man does what he has to do. You're doing what you must, and I am too. Well, I guess there's no more to say. Goodbye, and no hard feelings.
Don't hold out your hand to me. I shake hands with no radical.
Well, just goodbye, then.
Now, my son. Now what will become of you? Your name is on the list. All doors are shut. And everywhere you go, you bear the brand of troublemaker. A name they give to those who speak the truth. And what will that pretty wife of yours now have to say? I think I know what she will say in your cheap rooming house with a leaky step.
Well, did you find anything?
No, they'd heard about me.
What are we to do? Look at my dress. Look at my hands.
Oh, Mary, I see them. All the time. Wherever I go, whenever they turn me down.
Why didn't you think of them at Black Rock, then?
Mary.
You could have signed a letter and would be there and going up, not down.
But the men were right. I explained that.
What's right? What's wrong? And are they better off? Look at us. And all because you can't learn to keep quiet.
Keep quiet is not something a man learns. Something he forgets. He forgets how he was as a kid. Kids don't keep quiet. They say what they think. Then something happens to them and they forget.
Is that philosophy? Well, I can't live on it. I'm going home.
Oh. I guess that's best. This is no place for you. Then, when I get a job, I'll come for you. Is that your bag?
Yes, and it's packed. I got supper for you.
Packed?
Don't look at me like that. I got your supper, didn't I?
But, Mary, you could wait a day or two. Something might turn up.
Oh, we've said that 50 times. I must hurry if I'm going to catch my train. Come on.
Yes. Yes, I'll take you to the train. Oh, Mary.
No, let me go, John. I must hurry. Go get my bag. Come on.
Yes, you mustn't miss the train.
You think she'll come back to you? Or even wait? A girl with her bright beauty fading, with not much time to lose. And all the brisk young men around, so confident and careful. No, my son, someday you'll learn the truth. And then for you the name of loneliness will have a meaning all its own. And you will be a wanderer in the dark places of the earth. But work you must. And work perhaps you will among the workers. The workers you work to save.
The meeting will come to order. This meeting of Local 1634 is called for the election of officers and delegates to the National Convention. Nominations are now in order.
I renominate our president, Tony Siegel.
I second the nomination.
I move the nominations be closed.
Well, brothers, it looks like I was in again. I'm much obliged.
Brother Chairman.
The chair recognizes Mr. Cross.
This election is not in order. There was no time for other nominations.
All right, bright boy. Is there any other nominations? You see, bright boy? Now sit down.
I want to speak on the nomination.
Wait. Let him speak. Okay, bright boy, go right ahead.
Ever since I joined this union, I've seen how it's run. It's run by Seagull. So in my spare time, I looked around to see how Seagull runs it. Here's what I found. Last spring, we struck in violation of our agreement. We lost 28 days' pay and the goodwill of the town.
Who cares for goodwill?
Ain't the employers chipped us plenty? We lost our wages, but Seagull didn't lose. Ever since then, he's been taking down $100 a month from the employers to keep us working.
That's a lie.
I have proof. Where is it? Not here, Seagull. Not where it can be snatched out of my hands by your gang. But I'll produce it when I'm ready. And I'll produce another piece of paper. Seagull's real name's not Seagull. What is it? But I know what it is. And what he did. Seagull's no working man. The only job he ever did, he got 6 years for. Living off girls. Seagull, am I right? Now, here's my office, Seagull. Resign and take your mob out of the hall and let us have a free election. Seagull, resign or I'll turn you in.
Till you came in here, we had a nice little local, everything quiet and regular. But since, at every meeting, you got a new squawk. Don't we mean to stick by our agreement? Why won't we show a financial settlement? Is it right to restrict production?
That's what I asked, and I never got an answer.
I never will while I'm here.
That's why I want you out. This is no labor union. It's just a gang that lives off the employers and off the union members. There's you. You and your mob. Not one of you are workers. The rest of the crowd here, the workers, are all right, but they're scared to move. They've got their bread to think of. They've got their wives and kids. You used to live off girls. Well, where are the girls you live off now?
Brothers, I guess you can see his racket. He wants to frame me and get the job.
I'm not a candidate.
What are you then, bright boy?
I'm just a guy. Says what he believes.
And what do you believe? We've heard you talk a lot, but never found out yet.
I believe that people have got to take care of themselves.
Well, ain't we doing it?
Yes, you are, but not us. Listen, boys. To take care of himself, the worker's got 3 things. He's got his fists for scabs and face.
Listen to him, brothers. He'll be punching himself in the jaw, maybe.
All right, come on. He's got his skill. He's got his skill that the world can't do without. And he's got the backing of public opinion. Those are his weapons, and he needs them all.
Well, now that we've heard your little Sunday school lesson, sit down.
I'll not sit down. Listen, you American workmen. We're American workmen no matter where we started from. Where does this local stand today? Have we any respect like good unions? Any public support to back us in a fight? Does this town trust us to stick by our agreements? Do they feel about us the way Junction City feels about their local there? We've thrown away our weapons. Now look, man. Why does the name of the American workman stand high all around the world? Because he's the man that turns out the stuff. That's his ace in the hole, his blue chip. He can turn out the stuff. So I say, let's clean up, start right. If the employers treat us fair, be tough but square, and turn out the stuff. If they're in trouble through no fault of their own, help them keep going if we can, and turn out the stuff. Then if they jip us, strike, with the town behind us, and they'll know they're losing men that can turn out the stuff.
Beautiful and true. It's what my father used to say. Now they listen. Now they're cheering, but will they act? Time is the enemy of all things good. the enemy until it has destroyed them. Then, when it's too late, it turns and preserves the ruins. Preserves them through generations. Generations in the minds of men. But I must watch my dream until it ends. And it will end, perhaps, where water flows like fate and time, and great ships sleep in darkness by the dock.
Who's that?
It's me, John. Benny. What are you doing here? You oughtn't to go alone at night. Not by the docks. We've appointed some of the boys to watch you. We tipped off the cops to watch out, too.
What do you mean, appointed?
We had a meeting, all the right guys. We're going to throw Seago out and put you in. We don't want nothing to happen to you, see?
Pick somebody else. There's plenty.
We've done our picking. Now listen, keep out of these dark places, will you? Why make it tough for us to cover you?
All right, maybe you're right.
One thing more. We've been a bunch of heels, see, with this Seago. We ain't proud of it, you understand, but most of us got kids, see? I guess you don't know what that means.
No. I've got no wife, no kids. But I know what it means.
But get this right. From now on, we back you. Boys are all right, you understand? Only sometimes it takes somebody to give them a right steer. Now, let's get out of this. Listen, what's that?
Somebody in a big hurry.
Look out, it might be Seago. Look out.
Yeah.
John! Did they get you? John! John, can you talk? I can't get to you. They got me, too. Can you hear me, John? Hang on, fella. That's the ambulance. Over here, Doc. Hurry.
Who else got it?
Just him and me. Look at him. Who's this way?
I'm the driver. I'll fix you up till the doc gets around to you.
You got here quick for once.
Here, roll over in this blanket. There you are. Yeah, we heard the shooting. Knew just where we'd find you, buddy.
Too bad you didn't know sooner. Some of you cops could have got Seago then.
They got him.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they blocked him off coming out of third, and they cut him down just before we came by. Him and three with him. Didn't you hear it?
That's Seago and Jack and Red in one arm. Doc, have you looked him over?
Yeah.
Well, for Pete's sake, Doc, I mean, he's a friend of mine.
He'll never walk again. The spinal cord.
You mean he'll be no good? For nothing?
I mean, it's his legs. Only his legs. His other end's all right.
Okay, then, Doc, okay. That's the end we need.
Not happen. It mustn't. Yet if it should, if here and now, between this manger and the magic northern lights, by wishing I could make my dream come true, or not come true, what would I say? I am a daughter of the pioneers, strong men, brave women, free, daring men, who worked, took chances, and winning, losing, made this land. What would I say? I'd say then, let the dream come true. Out of my nameless body, let there come a man who speaks the truth he knows. One more free man to make his country great. Are you hungry, my baby? Come then now, come. It's time for you to eat. Out of my body you have come. Out of my body you grow strong. Be happy now. And eat. And sleep. And dream. And then, whatever lies ahead, go on.
What is the meaning of Mr. Boyd's play for us? How does it touch our own lives? Here's how. We are citizens of one of the few remaining countries on the face of the globe in which the John Crosses of this world may still escape the concentration camp and the quicklime grave. John Cross had a compulsion to speak the truth and to act the truth. There are many such men, and there have been many such men in our past. William Penn and Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, Sam Houston, Lincoln, all were men like John Cross. The meaning of our freedom is this, that here in our land, men like John Cross shall win in the end. John Cross may suffer because American democracy, being human, is not perfect. There is always a gap between what our people believe and what they do. Men like John Cross break their bodies and their hearts trying to close that gap. Then others follow, and so another gain in man's long struggle to be free is made secure. We should be proud that we have a land where men and women still are free to lead, and others are free to follow. A land where men and women stand for what is decent and just, where all our citizens have the right, by law and by our great tradition, to make their fight for a better world. Let us again, in this present time of crisis, renew our timeless and high resolve that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. In today's Free Company presentation, you have heard Margot as the mother, Dorothy McGuire as the teacher, Sidney Lumet as John Cross, the schoolboy, Marin McCormick as the elder John, Betty Field as Mary, Alan Dinehart as the general manager, and Elia Kazan as Seago. The stars and author of today's play contributed their services without payment, as did Bernard Herrmann, who composed and conducted the music, and Norman Corwin, who directed the production. All those who enjoyed James Boyd's play will be glad to know that a complete copy of the broadcast has been printed for listeners. For 10 cents, the cost of printing and mailing, you may receive your copy. Write to The Free Company in care of the Columbia Broadcasting System in New York. Copies of subsequent Free Company plays will be made available each week as the series goes on. Next week, the Free Company will present Freedom's a Hard-Bought Thing by Stephen Vincent Benet, adapted by David Eskind. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company.
For what avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fail? This is Burgess Meredith speaking from Hollywood. Last Sunday, I read a statement about the principles upon which the Free Company was founded. Something about its membership and something about what it has accomplished. I want to repeat that statement today for the benefit of those in the radio audience who missed it last week. Some people have too little faith in America. Some people have been listening to harsh voices from across the seas, and the voices have been getting louder. Some people are just confused. It was to deal with this confusion in one way and one medium of expression that a group of writers and actors and Columbia itself formed the Free Company. The Free Company has the endorsement and cooperation of the Attorney General of the United States and the Solicitor General of the United States. The members of the Free Company have dedicated their talents to the proposition that we have in this country a way of life that is unique and precious and something to be infinitely proud of. It's the American way of life. In the spring of 1941, with all its flaws and all its problems, still the best way of life on earth. Who are some of the members of the Free Company? Well, there's James Boyd, chairman of the Free Company and author of the series of American historical stories, Drums, Marching On, The Long Hunt, and Bitter Creek. He's a $1-a-year man at the Department of Justice and served as first lieutenant in the AEF at Samuel and Meuse-Argonne offensives. Robert E. Sherwood, chairman of the Free Company Writers, is a Pulitzer Prize winner with a list of more than half a dozen stage successes to his credit, of which his latest is the anti-totalitarian play, There Shall Be No Night. He was a member of the famed Black Watch of the Canadian Expeditionary Forces. Then there are other eminent Americans: Paul Green, Archibald Macleish, Stephen Vincent Benet, George M. Cohan, Mark Connelly, Norman Corwin, Ernest Hemingway, Elmer Rice, William Soroyan, Orson Welles, and many others. Columbia's vice president in charge of broadcasts, W.B. Lewis, is a member, and Columbia supplies the production, the music, some of the cast, and the time. All these individuals form a Free Company, a company to interpret the true spirit of the Bill of Rights, the honest way, the American way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, Maxwell Anderson writes on freedom to worship God. Here, we take that freedom as a matter of course, but it can be lost, and the playwright shows us a nation where men not only may not worship God each in his own way, but where they may not worship any God at all except the state. We present Paul Muni in The Miracle of the Danube by Maxwell Anderson. Under the medieval towers of an ancient fortress on the banks of the Danube, a military trial is being held. German officers sit square and erect on tall hand-carved chairs about a long table. The officer in charge is General Merck, a veteran of the First World War. A major and several other subordinates sit with him to share the examination. The accused prisoner is Captain Cassell, now somewhat worn and worried by
all leaders of the Third Reich, I declare this court-martial in session. Captain Cassell, I have known you and your work for several years. You have been recommended to the higher command for acts of distinguished service and for devotion to our common cause. Nevertheless, as these officers know, there is no possibility of leniency toward those who have knowingly or even unwittingly abetted the enemies of our nation or our cause. We shall hear the charges against you in order. Lieutenant, read the accusations.
In September 1938, 3 women prisoners assigned to the charge of Captain Cassell escaped during a transfer. This was held accidental and was passed over at the time, but is now recalled because of later occurrences.
I allow you to speak in regard to that charge, Captain.
Thank you, General Merck. It is true. They escaped.
You have nothing to say about the circumstances?
I would have given my life to avoid any betrayal.
We shall go into that later. Read the next charge.
On February 10th, 1939, Captain Cassell was in command of the firing squads at the Moravian prison. 7 graves were dug at his order to accommodate the prisoners executed on that day. Only 6 of these graves were filled and no trace of the 7th body was found. This also was passed over as an error in the record.
Do you wish to comment on this, Captain?
Yes, General Merrick. It was an error.
Proceed.
During the greater part of the years 1939 and 1940, Captain Cassell was employed, among others, in the work of transferring populations in Central Europe. This work necessitated occasional executions and the stranding of refugee groups within restricted territorial limits. Captain Cassell appeared to be an exemplary officer, eager to carry out the policies of the state. They knew him as the Reaper. His headquarters were known as Castle Blood. He was depended on more and more by his superiors.
You will note, Captain, that we give you all possible credit.
I tried to be a good soldier, General Merrick.
Continue.
But there began to appear certain cracks and lesions in Captain Cassell's efficiency. 4 religious leaders, determined enemies of the state, slipped through his hands into Sweden with a number of followers and were not recaptured. There was a riot at a concentration camp on the eastern border, and the captain failed at a critical moment to give a necessary order to fire on the crowd. Later, he was entrusted with the liquidation of a large body of undesirables who had been collected at a southeastern boundary. These men and women escaped in such fashion that Captain Cassell must be held responsible. It has been found necessary, therefore, to subject Captain Cassell to military trial.
Captain Cassell, you are aware, no doubt, that these are capital charges. I ask you directly, were you remiss? Were any of these lapses intentional?
No, sir.
Then how do you explain them?
I cannot.
Come, sir, you're your own enemy. We're all friendly here. We do not intend to lose so valuable a servant from the ranks. Begin at the first rank. The 3 women who escaped into Sweden. How did that happen?
There were 4 of them. 3 women and a man.
In the records, there are only the 3.
Yes. The man joined them.
Joined them? Where?
In the camp. One of them was ill. He was taking care of her. He seemed to be a kind of doctor.
But the escape?
It was his doing. His only.
But how?
He spoke to me about the women. He spoke to me very strangely. For some reason, I could not take my eyes from his face. He had a way of speaking at once passionately and slowly, so that you waited for his words.
Come, what does this mean? Did he talk you into letting them go?
No, I refused him. I laughed at him. I despised him.
But the evidence shows that a catch had been overlooked on one of the doors and that the 3 disappeared into the night.
Yes, that's true, but not because I was affected by what he said. Not because I connived at escape. I laughed at him, as I said, and turned him into the street. Locked up the women for the night. I looked personally at the lock on every door. Perhaps in my anger at this vagrant, I was not so careful as I should have been. He stood there talking and made me angry. But if there was an oversight, it was, I assure you, an intention.
For the moment, I shall accept that explanation. Let us look next at the 7 graves which were dug for those sentenced to be shot on December 9th at the Krug Fortress. 6 men had been sentenced. 6 Polish Jews convicted of sabotage while working on the great military road. Your records, however, showed that 7 men were ordered before the firing squads. 7 graves were dug, and that the orders for this 7th execution were cancelled at the last moment. On the face of it, this looks like connivance of escape.
It was the custom in the Krug Fortress to place those condemned to death in a common cell. I shut those 6 prisoners into the death cell after the trial. I saw to this personally. Then, as I turned away, I saw this 7th man with them.
A 7th?
Yes, Major.
Who was it?
It was the same man who had argued with me about the women on the night of their escape.
How did he come now?
I didn't know he came there, but he was there. And I said to myself, this time, nothing shall go wrong. He's got himself somehow into the death cell with the condemned. Very well. Let him die with the others. I know I had no right to order an execution without the sanction of the court, but that man was my evil demon. He'd got me into trouble once, and he was trying again.
Calmly, Captain.
Very well. I ordered him shot. The prisoners were marched from their cells, and he came with the others. He stood up with the others before the squads. He went up and down among them, telling them to have courage. But when the firing was over, when they were shot down, he was not among them. His body wasn't there.
Where was it?
I don't know. I tell you, I don't know. But was this to be held against me? Would I have ordered him shot if I wanted him to escape?
Calmly.
I can't speak of him calmly. I'm sorry.
You made an effort to locate this man?
We made every effort, Major. The guards were questioned. The locks were examined. The civil and military authorities went over the ground inch by inch. They found nothing suspicious.
Let us proceed to the next charge. In the summer of 1940, you were conducting a consignment of prisoners from the eastern border to a Baltic port. Among them were 4 Lutheran ministers who had banded together to resist the interpretation of Christianity which is orthodox in the Third Reich. These 4, with some 20 of their followers, escaped from the freight car in which they were being transported. This car was under your guard.
The car caught fire, General Nutt. It was necessary to open the doors.
In what fashion did the car catch fire?
I cannot say how the fire originated, sir.
This man who escaped at the time of the executions, did he have any part in the escape from the boxcar?
Yes. Yes. He was there.
What part did he take in the affair?
It's difficult.
Tell us the story of that escape.
All of it?
Yes, from the beginning.
I will try. It will not be believed. However, I will try. We were in the car. I saw his face among the other prisoners in the car. I was walking. You! Stand up!
Yes, sir.
Come forward. How do you come to be among these prisoners?
I came in with them.
Do you know what prison they're bound for?
Yes.
Do you know the reputation of that prison?
I do.
Then that's what will happen to you, my friend. You've pushed in once too often where you're not wanted. First torture, then death.
I am accustomed to torture.
And to death, too, I suppose.
Yes, even to death.
Who are you?
Don't you remember?
No.
The picture in the silver frame. The reproduction of the Giotto that hung in your mother's room. The face in that picture. Surely it comes back to you now.
What are you trying to tell me?
The plainest, simplest truth. My face is the face in a picture by Giotto.
Don't talk rot like that. Don't try to gull me with some fantastic story.
But this is not fantasy. My face is that face. My hands are those hands. My garments are the same.
What do you mean? How could you be a man out of a picture? I see you before my eyes, and you're real.
The others here have not seen me. See? They stare at you. Because you talk with the empty air.
You lie! You lie? You're trying to confuse me. To mislead me. Why are you here?
You bring me here. You create me out of your mind. Out of your horror and regret for the blood you have spilled. For the man you were. You bring me here because you hate yourself and what you do.
We shall see whether you're real. We shall see. I sealed the car doors together. I kept my automatic ready against an escape. Then there arose a cry among the prisoners. A housing had caught fire. Soon it was necessary to open the doors for air. Our car was the last on the train, and I therefore climbed to the roof and thence down the coupling, which I loosed. When the car was free, I set the brakes and we came to a stop in the dark near a village. At the point of my automatic, I held the prisoners within the car while I ran to look at the housing. Then I saw that I had somehow been fooled. There was no fire. I turned to the car door in a rage, and the prisoners began pouring out. That painted face in the lead. I emptied my gun at him, point blank, and he did not fall. I swear to you, gentlemen. I swear to you, gentlemen. Within 3 paces, I fired 10 times at his heart without effect. For he stood there and spoke to me still. The other prisoners made off in the dark, and then he, too, was gone. And I found myself beside the empty car in the night.
And you expect us to believe that?
No, gentlemen, I do not expect you to believe it. I wake in the night and say to myself that it cannot be true. That I'm a respectable officer, that I'm sane. That I live in a sane world where these things cannot happen. There are no ghosts, no shadows, no things like men that will not fall when you shoot them through. I know that. And yet, this happened. As I've told it.
Did you ever see this man again, this figure out of the Giotto painting?
Not for several months.
In justice to the captain, perhaps I should tell you of his conduct after this episode of the boxcar. He came to the general staff with a request that he be put under some rigorous mental and physical discipline. He was sent to an academy in the Black Forest and there underwent a course in their Spartan regime. Here there is iron control, long hours of labor and instruction, no comforts, cold water, a Lacedaemonian diet. After 6 weeks, Captain Cassell emerged from this training a new man. He was placed in charge of the liquidation of a certain province. He became known at this time as the Grim Reaper. The faltering which had marked his previous actions had disappeared. He showed no aversion to violence or the shedding of blood. For nearly a year, he led the way among the military protectors of that region. There was talk of making him Governor-General of the whole Polish area.
What was the nature of your work at this time, Captain Cassell?
I was in charge of the extermination of the intelligent. All leaders are thinkers. All writers are artists. All who stood out in any way were arrested and in some fashion eliminated.
Did you feel any reluctance in carrying out this work?
None! It is not the business of a German officer to feel reluctance. It is his business to obey. Moreover, I'm convinced and was convinced then that it is essential to the welfare of our master nation that we make slaves of our inferiors. An acceptance of slavery is only possible among those who cannot think for themselves and who have no leaders. It was my duty for the good of our country to eliminate the leadership among the subject people.
You never softened your blows, never drew back your hand, never allowed yourself to be overcome by pity?
Never! If only because I had made errors in the past, I determined never to slip again. I'd learned my lesson. Time was gone when a face out of a cheap reproduction would come between me and those who were condemned.
Do you mean that this face still haunted you?
At times, faintly. But I refused to see it. I drew a curtain of blood between that face and me. And then it ceased to appear. And I was free to do my work.
Then this last occurrence, this last charge against you, the freeing of the boatload of prisoners on the Romanian frontier, how do you account for that?
I don't know.
You understand that we must make these inquiries, Captain. Tell us what happened on the river steamer on the Danube.
I've conducted 200 prisoners on board the steamer of Constanta. There were 20 guards. My instructions were to land the prisoners on a small island near the Romanian frontier, execute the able-bodied among them, and abandon the others without supplies. We arrived at a point near that island at night, on the 6th of last November. Since we were unable to locate the channel in the dark, it was necessary to wait till dawn before landing the prisoners. They slept on deck, men, women, and children. Half of the guards went below deck to sleep, and the others remained on duty. I was awake and on deck. I stood looking at the black water of the river. Then the moon rose, and I could see an outline of the river banks a mile or so away. As I looked toward that shore, a man came walking out from it.
Captain Cassell, there was a mile of water, you say, between you and the shore.
Yes.
Then I don't follow you.
This man came walking across the water.
Is it profitable to listen further, General Merck?
We must hear him out. Go on, Captain.
He came walking across the water.
Very slowly. It must have been half an hour before he came near enough so that we could see his face.
When you saw it, what face was it?
The face of the Giotto Christ.
Your phantom, my dear Captain, your phantom.
No. This time he was not a phantom.
How do you know?
Because the prisoners saw him. They woke each other and watched him as he came.
Such proof is hardly acceptable.
Also, I had set the guards at the rail to keep him off the boat, but now the guards were phantoms, and he stepped through them as if they weren't there. He was real, and they were specters, with the moon shining through them.
I think you confuse the matter, Captain. The men of the guard were flesh and blood. This ghostly figure passed through their ranks because he was a shadow, a memory of a painted face.
No, he was real. And the guard was made up of shadows. He was real among them as he's real among you now.
Is he among us now?
You don't see him.
I do not.
There, behind you, where the light falls. You see no one there?
Nothing, Captain.
Why have you come here?
Was I ever with you when you had not called for me?
I've never called for you. I've drenched myself in blood to be rid of you. I've filled the air with screams and covered half the earth to be rid of you.
Would it be possible to declare him of unsound mind?
We can hardly escape the issue of guilt or innocence.
And if he is guilty?
The guilty must be punished.
Very well.
What happened, Captain, after this man came across the water to your ship?
He came through the soldiers. They had become like air, unreal. They could not stop him. Then this thing came over me that I'd felt before.
What thing?
I was glad that he had come. In some horrible way, I was glad that I couldn't hurt him. Glad that he would conquer. That I would betray my rank and my orders. In some horrible way, it didn't matter, for he had become real, and he and I were real together in a country of ghosts. He and I and the band of prisoners were real, but the soldiers and the nation that lay behind them were unreal. The armies, the men of the government, the men of the secret police, all the forces of our nation were shadows that could not stop a wind. There was only one reality. This man and I, on the dark river, and the group of prisoners sent there to die.
And what came of this?
I don't know. I think I must have let them go.
You mean you allowed the prisoners to escape?
Yes.
You knew that this was an action deserving of death?
It seemed not to matter.
I think we need take no further testimony. To my mind, Captain Cassell is guilty and his usefulness is at an end. Is there any dissent?
None, General Merck.
Then the lieutenant will record the sentence. Captain Cassell, you have received an impartial trial at the hands of your brother officers, and it is my unpleasant duty to inform you that there is only one military consequence to your action.
You, too, are shadows. You of this corps.
Be quiet, sir.
You're all shadows. Ghostly folk about a table in a city of ghosts. The chairs and walls show through your forms. Your voices come from a distance. Echoes of men.
You will face a firing squad in the prison yard in the morning.
And they too will be shadows. Why should I fear them? Or any among this nation of specters? I know now that I'm free of you. He and I sit together here, and we are real in the midst of a cackling assemblage of shadows.
The cause is dismissed.
Go and leave me. I know what you think, insofar as you think, insofar as you exist at all. My mind is clear, and I know what I was never sure of. You're evil as you're empty. And my happiness is here, in the face of this one reality, this one friend who says that I did well.
when I did a kindness that I was worthiest, when I could not kill. Now that I've said these things, they'll make an end of me. They will put me to death out of their world.
They put me to death long ago.
I must face the firing squad in the morning. Will you stay with me then?
Yes, I will stay with you.
And in the night, if I'm alone, my mind will torture me. Will you stay with me in the night?
Yes, I will stay.
Will you say again the words you said on the bank of the Danube?
No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other.
And the rest?
Yes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
This way, Captain.
Yes. I'm ready.
So Captain Cassell went to his death because his inner spirit would not be denied. That death was one of triumph and of comfort. He had found again his true belief, had made his peace with God. The freedom of every man and every woman to find that peace is, of all freedoms, the most fundamental, precious, and profound. And the powers of darkness know that well, and that is why, when they would enslave mankind, they strike first at the freedom of the soul. Faced with this threat in other lands, let us renew our resolve that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Paul Muni and Maxwell Anderson joined the Free Company under the chairmanship of James Boyd in contributing their services without payment. Leith Stevens composed and conducted an original musical score. The Free Company producer is Charles Vanda. To the Screen Actors Guild, to the American Federation of Radio Artists, and to the Columbia Network, all of whom have combined to make this series possible. To all these people, with a word of a special thanks to Irving Reese, who directed, this is Burgess Meredith offering the sincere thanks of the Free Company.
A copy of today's broadcast by Maxwell Anderson has been printed for distribution to listeners. For 10 cents, the cost of printing and mailing, you may receive your copy. Write to the Free Company in care of the Columbia Broadcasting System in New York. A complete collection of the Free Company plays will be available in book form at your local bookstore on Monday, May 5th. Next Sunday, as previously announced, we broadcast the final program in the first cycle of Free Company plays, called Above Suspicion. It was adapted from an outline prepared for the Free Company by the late Sherwood Anderson and stars Paul Lucas. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Columbia Broadcasting System presents The Free Company. For what avail the plow or sail, or land or life, if freedom fails?
This is James Boyd speaking for the Free Company. Today, Paul Lucas finds himself unable to take part. But you will hear the Dean of American Actors and one of the best-loved Americans, George M. Cohan, with Paul Herrenried in Above Suspicion. Today's drama concerns freedom from police persecution. It was to have been written by Sherwood Anderson. In his death last month at Cohan Canal Zone, the Free Company suffered its first loss, and the country lost a great American. For 30 years, Sherwood Anderson represented a vital part of the United States, the America of the small town. He was kind and gentle. He was the easygoing, friendly American with everybody he met. But there was nothing soft about this friendliness. When it came to justice for the oppressed, to freedom for all in equal measure, nothing could move him. He was poor. He was not always well. But he was always ready to give himself for a juster, a fairer, a more honest world. The last thing he ever did was to start his contribution to this Free Company program. The script for his play was not completed. But the Free Company has taken his original idea and developed it. We therefore present it under the title he'd chosen. Not, of course, as his own work, but as a tribute to his memory. In this play, the scene is the combination dining and living room of a small, clean apartment in New York City. The time is 3 years ago, when the storm clouds just began to gather across the sea. And now a play about freedom from police persecution. Above Suspicion.
So, Trudy, now we put clean napkins in the napkin rings.
Okay, Mama, here's a napkin.
Thank you. And now by every napkin we put a little flower. So.
Gee, that's pretty, Mama. It looks like a birthday party.
Yeah, we're making a little party for Fritz. Now, please bring the spoons.
Okay, Mama. When will they get here?
As soon as Fritz gets off the boat, Papa will bring him. Soon they come now. Go on, Trudy, cut the table.
What's Fritz like?
Oh, I don't know.
Do I call him cousin?
Yeah, cousin or Fritz.
How was he my cousin, Mama?
You know that I came to this country when I was a little girl like you?
Yes, I know, only you had pigtails.
Yeah, not brown, fluffy hair like you. Long, yellow pigtails. Well, when I came here, in the old country was my sister Trudy. We gave you her name.
Why didn't she come with you?
Because she was married already. And so like you are my child, Fritz is my sister's child, only older. That is a cousin to you. No, the box must be on the left side. Oh, now I must go look at the steak. You can set out the glasses, the big beer glasses. Mary!
Yeah?
Come here, watch Trudy while she sets the table. She wants to do it all by herself.
Oh, okay. Mary, I have a cousin.
Yeah, I know, this Fritz.
Have you a cousin?
Sure, 10 of them.
What are they like?
All kinds. One's a bank cashier and one's in jail.
In jail? What did he do?
He was a bank cashier, too. The best-looking member of the family, Bill was, so it had to be Bill. Oh, well. What does Fritz do?
Nothing, I guess. He's pretty young.
Huh, when I was 16, I'd had 5 jobs already. Lost them all.
Hurry up there, hurry up.
Mama, Mary has 10 cousins.
Is that so? Oh, Papa and Fritz should be here now. Mary, you want to chop the vegetables for the salad?
Sure, anything you want.
Thank you.
Mama, Mary has a cousin in jail. Did you know that?
Oh, I really don't know anything about her. I just saw her at the market and asked would she like to help out for dinner today.
But ain't that awful, in jail?
Well, if she admits it, I guess she's honest. Listen, it's them. It's Papa and Fritz. Now, Trudy, listen, please don't ask questions.
Yes, Mama.
Well, Mama, here we are. Here he is, right here.
Grüß Gott, Tante. Oh, also, das ist der Fritz. Willkommen, Fritz. Ich freue mich ja so. Willkommen in unserem Haus.
But we shall speak in English. I do speak it.
I should say he does. He speaks it pretty near as good as I do.
And this is Cousin Trudy. How do you do?
Hello, Fritz.
Well, come on, folks. Now, let's all sit down. Here, Fritz, here, you sit over here.
Thank you.
And, Mama, I'm hungry, I am.
Well, I hope so. We are having a real old-fashioned dinner, just like the old country. All right, Mary.
Mama, can I have beer?
When it comes, yes, a little, just to drink Fritz's health.
Do you have for me?
Yes, we can start, Mary.
Okay. Can I have coffee, Cohan? Can I have apple strudel? And then can I have
a little? Now, be quiet. Fritz, how are you all? How is my sister?
Oh, she's well, Aunt Anna. She sends her love.
And your good father?
He's well, Aunt Anna. He sends his respects.
Fritz, how is the boat?
Oh, it was a fine ship. All our new ships are fine ships.
Yes, sir, and this one was a whopper, too. You know, for a while I thought I'd never find this boy, not knowing what he looked like or anything, you know.
How did you find him, Papa?
Oh, I found him right under his right letter on the pier. And Mama, Mama, who do you think was the customs inspector going through Fritz's bags, huh?
I couldn't guess. You know everybody.
Yes, well, it was all out of Rhinelander. You remember? They used to live next to us down 14th Street?
Yeah.
Yes, I hadn't seen him in years. Say, Fritz, what got into you with Otto there, anyway, huh?
Pardon?
You know, Mama, I found Otto was talking the old country language to Fritz, and Fritz here, he didn't say nothing. He just looked kind of scared.
To talk to officials, please. That is not wise.
Well, you sure didn't give him anything to get hold of, I'll say that. Say, boy, you ain't trying to run nothing through the customs now, are you, huh? None of them Dutch cigars, no diamonds, no narcotics or something?
Oh, no, I could not violate the law. I've nothing to declare.
Papa, stop teasing Fritz. Fritz, pay no attention to Papa. He's always like that.
Papa's a tease. Papa's a tease.
And you too, Trudy. Don't tease Papa. Now, Fritz, now we shall be serious. Tell me some more about my sister and your father, yeah?
They are well, Aunt Anna. She sends her love and he sends his respects.
For so long now they have not written.
Sometimes that is best, for the good of the state.
State? What's the state got to do with it, huh?
The state has to do with everything, naturally.
Jumping Jehoshaphat. Listen, the state's got nothing to do with folks' private affairs, nothing.
Please, Uncle Joe, with all respect, if the state doesn't control private affairs, how can the state become strong?
Oh, it'll become strong, all right. You know, it might become too darn strong, I'll say. And I also say let the government mind its own dot-blasted business, and I'll mind mine. That's the way I feel.
Excuse me, Uncle Joe, again. I speak with respect. But with us, no one would speak so of the state. And so our leaders say, we shall become strong, the strongest of all.
Well, now, son, you know, there's been lots of nations claim that, and they've all had to climb down in the end somehow or other.
The end? Excuse me, but who knows the end?
Well, of course, nobody knows the end. Nobody knows the end of anything, I guess. But that's why I figured that what we do today stacks up so big.
What we do today in my country is big. You shall see, please. We grow strong.
All right, you grow strong. Now, what for, huh?
So that we shall win. Already the Ruhr we take, Austria we take. What we need we shall take. That is what our leaders say.
Yes, well, son, I don't say it can't be done or that you won't do it, but after all now, what is there in it all?
Papa, don't begin to talk politics. You always get indigestion when you talk politics.
No, now, Mama, now, please, now, let me finish. Now, what's the idea of giving up freedom, food, and happiness for an end that we don't know anything about? Well, now, I say this. I say if we hang on to the things that a lot of folks have died to get for us, then we know we got something good. Now, don't that make sense, huh?
Excuse me, please, Uncle. I cannot agree.
Well, all I mean is that any government at all that takes away freedom and happiness on any excuse at all, in the end it costs them more than it's worth.
Papa, stop arguing and eat.
Me? I'm not arguing. I'm just telling Fritz here.
Here, Papa, have more steak, yeah? What is it, Trudy?
Mama, how did Fritz learn English? Fritz, how did you?
In school. In our school, we learn all things that will be useful. We learn English and marching and running in gas masks. and the history of our country.
Is that any fun?
With us, school is not for fun. It is for the state.
Why did you come over here, then?
Well, because I cannot run in the gas mask. I have sometimes a little cough.
Oh, are you not well?
Oh, it's nothing, merely a bronchitis. The state says that here I shall have more milk and butter. Well, that is all. Then I shall return.
Well, speaking of the government now...
Papa, nobody is speaking of the government.
Well, I am right now. I'm speaking of the government. Now, wait a minute. Now, you take this administration, for instance. Now, they've got no experience, and they've got no horse sense.
Uncle Joe, with all respect, please.
Well, look at the relief record. Well, they're just a bunch of chiselers. And look at this...
Uncle Joe, please.
Now, son, please, don't interrupt me now. Just a minute. What do you know about it, anyway? You don't know a darn thing. Now, you listen to me. You know, they don't buy votes the way the crowd used to down at the City Hall. They just hire them now and put them on the government payroll. That's what they do.
I protest.
Oh, shucks, boy, what do you know? Let me tell you something. Before we know it, the entire country will be living off the government, and there'll be about only one taxpayer left to support them. And by gravy, I shouldn't be surprised if I happen to be that taxpayer, too.
But talk is dangerous.
Dangerous, Lord. I wish it was. The trouble is, nobody pays any attention. Again, all I hope is that the people wake up before the country's stolen right out from under them. That's what I hope.
It's dangerous.
It's stolen. Always the country is stolen. Did you ever think the government was any good, Papa?
Oh, yeah, sure I did. From what I hear, the Second Grover Cleveland administration was all right.
Papa, eat.
I'm eating. But all I say is, Fritz, that I may not know much about politics, but I do know a bunch of goggle-eyed, long-haired professors when I see them. I know a lot of things.
Look at Fritz.
Here, boy, here. What's the matter with you, boy?
What are you looking for?
In the corner, sometimes they put dictaphones.
Dictaphones? Again, I wish they would put some dictaphones here. I'd pay all the expenses to have the record sent right straight to the White House. That's what I do. Then they'd know what was going on then. We'd get some results then, eh, Mama? Huh?
There's no dictaphone. But you know this woman?
What woman? Who?
Oh, she in the kitchen.
Oh, I don't. Do you, Anna?
No, I just got talking to her at the market. I told her I wanted a little help for dinner. We'll fix it up.
And Anna, you bring a stranger into your home? Someone you do not know?
I know all about her. She's always changing jobs, and she has a cousin in jail.
In jail? Well, I'll be darned. What's she in jail for?
For being a bank cashier. And she's in love with him, I bet.
You see? They have someone she loves. And so they have her. She must do what they say.
Oh, boy, I don't know what's getting into you, Fritz. Why, she looks to me just like a pleasant, lanky, no-account old girl, that's all.
Oh, you hush. You'll hurt her feelings. Now, look, here's the beer.
Mama, can I have some?
Yes, just a little. And Papa will make the toast, just like in the old country, yeah, Papa?
Yes, well, I can't pronounce it very well, you know, Fritz, but Mama's taught it to me pretty good at that.
Yes.
And, boy, I want to tell you that I sure do mean this when I sing it. Now, here goes, now. Ein, zwei, drei.
Ein Prosit, ein Prosit, sehr gemütlich.
Go on, Mama, now keep on. That's it, listen to her. That's
ein Prosit, ein Prosit,
finish
sehr gemütlich. Now, ein, zwei, drei. Super.
You know, I want to tell you something. This has been some meal. Now, it's some meal.
Everybody's eating but Fritz.
Excuse me, please, but today I have not an appetite. It is perhaps a change from the boat.
Oh, never mind, Fritz. Now, you excuse me for a minute. Papa and I are going across the street. It's the Bernolfo's wedding anniversary. We'll take them some of these cakes. Trudy, you stay here with Fritz. Oh, Papa, will you give Mary $1 and tell her to wash the dishes before she goes, yeah?
I heard you. They're all washed and put away except them down the table.
Well, here you are. Here, Mary. Here's your $1.
Well, thanks, Mr. Smith. Much obliged.
Well, much obliged to you, Mary. So long, Mary. Pleased to meet you.
Well, same here.
Goodbye, Mary. Much obliged.
So long, folks.
Mary, can I clean up?
Sure, you can carry these dishes into the kitchen. Here, you take them now.
Okay, thanks.
Well, Fritzy, how you doing? You didn't eat very much.
I wish you to understand. These people, they are nothing to me.
They're your cousins?
An accident. I've never seen them before.
Well, what's wrong with them? They look all right to me.
I wish to point out that I took no part in the conversation. in the political discussion.
You betcha. You sure didn't have much to say for yourself.
You acknowledge that.
Well, I just kind of joined in some.
But not to agree, not to agree.
Well, for heaven's sake, I don't know. You're all talking all together there.
So that is all you have to say. That would be your report.
Hey, I don't get you. Looks to me like one of us don't understand English so good. Well, okay, I gotta be moving.
But please. To me, naturally, this is important.
Hey, look, some other time, kid. When I have $1, I burn to spend it. Oh, what do you know? The kids put away the dishes. So long, Trudy.
So long, Mary.
So long, Fritzy.
Fräulein, please, I beg.
Hey, let go of my hand. Who do you think you are? One of them fresh guys or something?
I beg your pardon.
Granted. So long.
Fräulein, do not include me with the others. Fräulein!
I put away all the dishes all by myself.
Can these rooms be seen from elsewhere?
Well, the Raffertys across the area can see. He's a cop.
Pardon?
A policeman.
A policeman? Can we see the entrance to this building?
Sure, right from here.
Oh, keep back here. I will look. Wait. Pull down the shades. You that one, I this one.
What is this, Fritz, a game?
Shh, be silent. Sit in that chair.
What's the matter? You look awful. You scare me.
This is a good room.
It's a beautiful room, but it's all dark now.
From here I can see the entrance just by pushing the shade aside.
I'm getting tired here.
How do you policemen dress?
They have blue clothes, but then so do firemen.
Come here, quietly. Look out there. Are those policemen?
Sure.
One is coming in the front entrance.
That's probably Mr. Rafferty.
The other four go round the corner.
They're from the station house.
Is there a back way here?
Sure, for the cans and trash and things.
Go back and sit down.
I don't wanna.
Go.
Gee, I thought you were gonna be so nice.
Nice. This is no time for niceness.
What is all this craziness?
Listen. Someone comes.
Well, what of it? What's the difference?
You speak, I...
Let go of my arm. You hurt me.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was nervous. But they've gone. But it will come again. I must think. Is there here a gun?
A gun? No, it's not allowed.
There must be a gun. All dangerous radicals have guns. We must find it and dispose of it. If it is found, it will be worse for us.
Papa's never had a gun. And who's a radical? Papa's a legionnaire and an elk.
Elk? An elk? What's that? Oh, why must I come here at such a moment? Are there papers? Oh, we should look. We should burn them. Nothing must be found, no proof. Why do you ask me to such a place? Who are you? Is it a trap? No, you're foolish. You're crazy. You don't know what can happen, but I know. I've seen such people at home. They think they will be safe, but sometimes it happens to them. But I will say to you, if I can, you are my people. Whatever they do, I shall say nothing. Now we must wait. Perhaps they will go away. No, they never go away. Listen. They come again. Sit still.
Oh, Papa!
You fool! Rudy!
Here. What is this here?
Papa, he was choking me.
What? Why, you ornery whelp. Say, listen, I got a mind to pin your ears back. What's the meaning of this, huh?
Joe, I beg, please. I wished only to save you, to save us all.
To save us?
Police. There've been one here once. I thought they were coming back. Trudy would not keep quiet. We must move. They came while you were gone.
Trudy, who came here? Who came?
I don't know. Fritz wouldn't let me open the door.
Hey, boy, you must be sick.
I'm not sick, but I've seen.
What's the matter?
Nana, make them understand.
Understand what, Fritz? What's wrong here? The room is all dark.
Fritz pulled down the shade.
This boy here was choking Trudy.
Oh, you don't know, you don't understand.
Fritz, please tell me.
Listen, Nana.
Yes.
Once I was like you. Once I lived with Father and Mother, and we were happy. But in the home, they would talk, they would say things against the state, like you, Uncle Joe. Only not so bad. Not much, only a little. Then one night, I hear steps and voices. It is the police. You understand? The police. And now they come here to this place. Again, the police. While you were away, they come to the door.
Fritz, do you know who that was that you think was the police? It was Jimmy Rafferty, a neighbor's boy.
A neighbor's boy?
Yes, his father's a policeman.
Policeman?
Yes, they are good friends of ours. And do you know what Jimmy wanted?
He studies German in his school, and he wants to try if he can speak with you in German. Now, do you see how all this is foolish, Fritz?
Foolish to you, not foolish to me. You were not there that night to hear the big feet on the stairs, to hear the voices. I was frightened, but in the end, I got up. I went to my father's and mother's room. They are gone. Gone! Never did I see them again.
But, boy, you told us a while ago that they were well and that they sent their love.
That is what it told me to say. For the state. But never did I see them again. Never did I hear. I asked and I was beaten. Look on my face, you see. I said if I ask any more, it would be bad for them. That they would be beaten. My beautiful mother will be beaten.
No, Fritz, don't.
She will be beaten, my beautiful mother. They will make her cry.
Fritz.
My mother.
But Fritz, please, it is not
my
so.
Mother
Here,
will be beaten.
Fritz, he's all so different. You must believe me. Ja, I know
Mother.
you will believe me. Hier wird alles gut werden. Alles wird gut, Fritz.
And Anna.
Please.
And Anna.
So now you are a good boy, Fritz, yeah? Now you are better.
Oh, hello, Jimmy. Hello there. Mama, here's Jimmy back again here. Maybe Fritz wouldn't want to see him right now, huh?
Oh, Papa, could he wait?
No, I will see him. I will be all right. I'm not a coward. But I don't know anymore. But not a coward. Tell him I shall be pleased.
Come then, Jimmy.
Gee, Mrs. Smith, it looks like I come at a bad time.
Oh, the bad time is over, Jimmy. Papa, raise the blinds, will you?
You betcha. Hey, Jimmy, you want a piece of cake, do you? There's some in the kitchen there if you do.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Smith.
Uncle Joe and Anna, Trudy, forgive me, please.
That's all right, son. Now, don't say nothing more about it. Now, let her go.
See, that's better. The sunlight comes in. Trudy, tell Jimmy Fritz wants to see him.
Come on, Jimmy. Fritz, this is Jimmy Rafferty.
Oh, hiya, Fritz.
How'd you do? And Anna says you can speak my language.
No, I can't really, but I learned a song, and I thought I might spring it at our class show. You know, kind of surprise them. Only I don't know if I pronounce it right, you know. It's called Ich weiß nicht, was soll es bedeuten. Did you ever hear of it?
At home all know that song.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, sing it, please.
Oh, no, you sing it. I wouldn't sound so good.
But please, you must try.
Well, let Fritz give me a lead.
No, you first.
Oh, come on, boys. Come on now. Sing it together, both of you now. Come on.
Ich weiß nicht, was soll es bedeuten.
Yeah, Mama. Hey, what's the matter with you, Mama, huh?
My sister.
Oh, now, come on, dear. Now, be brave. Look at Fritz here. Look at him.
He's brave. I won't let him see me cry. I will think how lucky we are.
Sure we're lucky. Sure we are. Oh, Mama. Now, please. Now, listen. Maybe we can find your sister. Maybe we can find her husband, too. Now, maybe they may be all right now. You don't know.
I do not know. The end we do not know. Just like you said.
Yeah, that's right. But we know what's going on today, don't we? I said that, too, didn't I, huh? Yeah.
Today we know. And today we make Fritz just like our son. Could we do that, Papa?
Why, certainly, old lady. You bet we can. Yes. Oh, boys, now I'll tell you something. That was pretty good. That was very good indeed.
We ain't so bad. Look here, Fritz. You want to go on with me in the show? Hey, we'd knock 'em dead.
I shall be very happy. You bet.
Okay, we're set. Hey, you must have done a lot of singing, fella.
With his father, I guess. Just like you, Jimmy.
Yes, with him.
For 20 years, his father sings bass in the Lutheran choir. Oh, one time they made a record for the phonograph. So you like the old country music, Jimmy?
Gee, yes, Mrs. Smith. It's great stuff.
You'd like to hear some real great stuff, Jimmy? Trudy, get out the record. It's in my bureau drawer. Papa, wind up the box, will you?
All right, Mama. You know, Mama, it's a long time since you played this record, you know.
Yeah, Papa, a long time. Because I'm so sad about the old country.
Yeah, I know. Well, now, listen. Now, maybe we better not play it at all.
No, I want to play it. Because I'm a little happy, too. Happy about Jimmy, that he loves our music. Happy about Fritz, that he's here in this country where people from all countries are free together. This good country.